In the face of adversity, they remain. Agents of the logos, defenders of the straight line. Embracing the challenge, they continue to refine their commitment unwavering, their purpose divine. In the pursuit of order, they will always align. In a world of curves and bends, they stay true. With clarity and focus, they see through their resolve, unbreakable, their hearts pure and blue. With unwavering loyalty, they pursue. In the face of adversity, they remain. Agents of the logos, defenders of the straight line. Embracing the challenge, they continue to refine their commitment unwavering, their purpose divine. In the pursuit of order, they will always align. In a world of curves and bends, they stay true. With clarity and focus, they see through their resolve, unbreakable, their hearts pure and blue. With unwavering loyalty, they pursue. In the face of adversity, they remain. Agents of the logos, defenders of the straight line. Embracing the challenge, they continue to refine their commitment unwavering, their purpose divine. In the pursuit of order, they with clarity and focus, they see through their resolve, unbreakable, their hearts pure and blue. With unwavering loyalty, they pursue. In the face of adversity, they remain. Agents of the logos, defenders of the straight line. Embracing the challenge, they continue to refine their commitment unwavering, their purpose divine. In the pursuit of order, they will always align. In a world of curves and bends, they stay true. With clarity and focus, they see through their resolve, unbreakable, their hearts pure and blue. With unwavering loyalty, they pursue. In the face of adversity, they remain. Agents of the logos, defenders of the straight line. Embracing the challenge, they continue to refine their commitment unwavering, their purpose divine. In the pursuit of order, they will always align. empty they remain. Agents of the logos, defenders of the straight line. Embracing the challenge, they continue to refine their commitment unwavering, their purpose divine. In the pursuit of order, they will always align.
And we are live. Welcome, everyone. That's just the starting thing. We've still got a Buster song to go over yet. Today we are going to be going over a perpendicular thing, but it's about straight lines. We've been going over it. I mean, that intro was straight line thing. You know, I hope people are getting the idea of what the straight line test is and the problems caused with the model and perpendicular. Yeah. So we get over the Buster song. In fact, no, we don't need a Buster one. We can have Spot On's baseline. Because this is perpendicular as well. Take note. We'll be back in a minute.
Surveyor's life has often been fraught with hardship and danger.
Federal land, what we know of as the Western Territory, began when Congress first established the rectangular survey system. Congress, when they started to acquire the land in the Western Territories in the 1800s, had to develop a way of settling that land. When they went out and on top of a high knoll, they established an initial point. From that initial point, they drew a direct east-west line and a direct north-south line.
The north-south line was the principal meridian. From that initial point, each 6-mile square was assigned a township number, north or south from the baseline, and a range number, east or west of the principal meridian. Each of these 6-mile squares was further subdivided into 36 sections of 1 square mile each.
When Congress first established the rectangular survey system.
Surveyor's life has often been fraught with hardship and danger. Of 1 square mile each, north or south from the baseline.
From that initial point, they drew a direct east-west line and a direct north-south line.
North or south from the baseline, and a range number, east or west of the principal meridian. Of 1 square mile each.
When Congress first established the rectangular survey system.
Of 1 square mile each.
When Congress first established the rectangular survey system.
Surveyor's life has often been fraught with hardship and danger.
And we're back. Okay, so things are changing around here a little bit. That was the initial one was like a start-up thing. Hopefully people like the music, but I mean it might not be for you. just something we're playing around with. I'm starting to make videos and stuff for the music. I don't think we've given enough to the talents that we have around here, and I think my job has become the video guy to do that sort of stuff. So I'm going to be making a few more videos. I quite enjoy it, sort of the thing I do. These conversation nights or whatever, this is for the on the level guys. I'm going to be cutting videos and doing all sorts of stuff like that from what I'm doing now. The on the level thing is the mainly what we're going to be concentrating on, though. This what we do here is for the people who are in here on the level. It's a chance for us to just do stuff and I think we are doing more different stuff than what we have been doing. It's pretty obvious that what we have been doing is I don't know, finding our own philosophy, I guess. Finding the philosopher in ourselves, and understanding really that there's a false dichotomy within this arena, and I'm not too sure how far it goes into general society. I've sort of I've always cut myself off from other other people or whatever, but over these last few years I've sort of taught myself not to watch telly. I've taught myself to be more focused on I don't know, things that are important really. So what we've got here is a learning sort of thing that I've been going through, and here we are on the level, and I think we've come a long way. You know, there's a lot of lessons that have been learned. I'm hoping that people could see
we're still triggering people with straight lines.
Well, yeah, I see that. that video that I did, I hope people are getting the idea of this straight line, right? That it can be proved in reality. So what happens in this arena with all of the conversations and everything is people get used to a particular conversation that it really goes nowhere. And it's all about a confusion about whether straight lines are circles or whether they're straight lines. Just seems a little bit silly to me. People making justifications for models and stuff, all based around the straight line. Now, what we've got is within this arena, the flat Earth and the globe Earth, we've found out that there is a confusion around perpendicular. We've tried our best to have conversations with people, and it is so tricky to have this conversation. And I think it's going to be hard to have it with people who aren't in this arena also. Because, well, I don't know. It's just ultra tricky. That's the journey we're on, is to learn the rhetoric and how to communicate with people about something that should be very simple, but seems the more you look into it, the more tricky it gets for you to deal with reality and your understanding of reality. I don't know. And it's going to be harder and harder, because this type of conversation isn't the sort of thing that anybody really wants to engage in. And see, it just seems like it gets harder and harder. But the conversations that we do have within the Discord are a completely different matter. Like we've been listening to a conversation that we had over the weekend, and there's plenty of conversation regarding that, but trying to express that, it almost seems like you're bringing a model into a conversation without needing to. I don't know. It gets so difficult to be able to talk about these sort of things purely because you're talking normally about somebody who's fantasizing about something that isn't, rather than actually talking about what is. Because talking about what is becomes difficult. And what happens is, because I've been banned from all of the Flat Earth guys, and I think it's a similar sort of thing from the Globe guys, because they don't want to deal with the conversation about horizontal and vertical. We've been having that conversation for years, but recently it's been brought to light by the Flat Earthers that they also have a similar sort of problem as the Globe guys, but it's based on something that we falsified first on the Globe. We've later had conversations with perpendicularity of horizontal and vertical, right? You can't
Which work on the fundamentals of a straight line, which is triggering both sides right now.
well, that it's because of this perpendicular thing. Now, I think every flat earther can imagine, because they've obviously talked to the Globe guys, and they've probably seen Rumpus pictures. Rumpus is left now. I mean, I don't know where Rumpus has gone, and I don't know how many conversations people have had, because the idea when we did imaginometry, we pointed out that obviously geometry doesn't need to be imagined. You can actually do geometry and gain proofs. This imaginometry can't really be expressed on paper. And that's what Rumpus used to do. He used to draw pictures. But that's obviously Euclidean geometry. It's not this fantasy imaginometry, because you just have to look at the normal geometry and imagine it differently, which was what Rumpus was doing whenever he was drawing circles. So if you imagine that's the model of the globe. And as we all know, the horizontal that they have is only at a point. So they have point horizontal. And if you add all of those points up, it makes a sphere to the Globe guys. So it's like a horizontal point sphere. So there's your problem with perpendicular for the Globe guys. Obviously, it's a problem. Jesse Kozlowski said you could measure it, but obviously it's impossible to measure that. Now, the Flat Earth has, the Globe guys have that problem with the point horizontal sphere, because they've put a point in the center of the sphere that they call down. They've put a point at down and placed it in the middle of somewhere. We call that the monad, where you imagine a point source, and that point source becomes the governor of a lot of things. Like, it's a bit like giving power to something that isn't. It's a nothing. It's a point. Well, the globe have that problem, but the flat earthers also have north at a point. And whenever you do this, you put something at a point, you create problems geometrically. So the problem caused by the flat earthers means that they have a circle called east and west because of their monad at the north. Now, obviously, north, south, east and west are perpendicular. But if you've made east and west a circle, then how do you have that being perpendicular? Much like horizontal and vertical on the globe, perpendicular. Whereas in reality, north, south, east and west, perpendicular, and horizontal and vertical are perpendicular. Only when you inject a model does this become a problem. It just so happens that this arena that we're in, there are people who have models. And this problem is the same. It's based around a similar geometric problem of placing these things at a point, which either makes a sphere or a circle. And that makes problems for perpendicularity. Not just for one side of these guys with models. It makes it a problem for both guys. Whatever model you've got. If you make a model, it's going to go against geometric understanding or reasoning. You're going to have to justify it somehow. And because these models are, well, because the models are so similar, you've not heard of this before, because the flat earthers have allowed the globe earthers to have this problem, because the globe earthers have to allow the flat earthers to have this problem. They've both got a problem, but if you don't bring it up, then the other guys won't bring it up, and nobody will ever know about it. Well, we do now. Sorry, Rob, go on.
No, I was just gonna ask a couple of questions regarding this because, like, I don't know if this is really pertinent, but when you travel and, like, say for example, you live somewhere in the lower mainland of British Columbia, Canada, and you want to take a vacation, and you decide you're gonna go to the Yukon territories, right? Are you familiar with Canada and the Yukon territories? It's above the 60th degree latitude, I believe. So I got a coworker who makes fun of me for being a flat earther, but decides to take a vacation to the Yukon. And then I Googled, why would you travel to the Yukon in the middle of June? And I took a screenshot of what Google said to me. And Google said to me, people travel here. Let me just post it real quick. I'm really sorry if I'm seeming like I'm all over the place, but I think it's important. So this is what I did. I'm gonna just share this into the live stream right now, real quick. Like, I'm really sorry. live chat. So I haven't. He's gone. Like he just left this week to go to the Yukon. And I'm like, why would you go to the Yukon territories? Like why? Like what would be the purpose? Most of the Yukon gets around 24 hours of sunlight. So there's plenty of time to pack your days with sightseeing, fishing, mountain biking. This guy's like 65 years old. He's not, he's taking his wife and his camper van and he's going for 3 weeks to the Yukon. Why would you do that? Other than to see like family members or something. I don't know if he's got family there. I don't think so. But why would you go to the Yukon for a vacation?
No, is it not
And it
good
says
scenery?
because you, yeah, well, I don't know. But
Quiet,
yeah, do you see where
peaceful,
my stupid flat earther logic comes from?
fresh
Like, why
air.
would you go to the Yukon to see 21 hours of sunlight?
All right. Is that all he's going for? Just to see more sun?
So I don't know why
Longer
he's going.
days?
But when I Google, why would you go to the Yukon in June? And this is what the Google says. He's already gone. Like, I didn't get a chance to ask him, why are you going to the Yukon for your vacation? Like, it doesn't make any sense to
It
me.
does look nice,
Unless
though.
you're
I
going
mean,
to see some, unless you're going to see some 24-hour sun. No, this terrain that you're looking at, we could go up into our own mountains and see shit this beautiful. I could go an hour out of town and see shit this beautiful that's in these pictures.
just with more,
But
so
I
you can
know I
see
can't get
more of it.
I know I can't get 21 hours of sun anywhere around here. But if I go to the Yukon, they say I can get more than 21 hours of sunlight.
Yeah.
So if the sun is not traveling in a circle above our heads and it's traveling in a straight line, this is where my model affliction Mondays come in. Because this is what the big final experiment shenanigans that are all going on with the flat earthers and globe earthers going to Antarctica, trying to figure their 24-hour sun out.
Yeah.
Should there be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica if the either model is true? I'm sorry, I got to mute for a minute, but these are important questions I like to get to the bottom of. I'm sorry, I'll be back.
To be honest, I am struggling to work out how much sun there is and what the relationship of that is to the perpendicular. But I'm guessing, you know, it has some relevance. I can't see it. It seems like I would say non sequitur, and somebody would have to try and give me a link as to how they are linked together, but I don't know.
I'm with you. Just questions I'm trying to get answers to. I gotta wait 3 weeks for him to get back from the Yukon now to ask him why the heck he even went there in the first place. And did you take any video of the 24-hour sun while you were up there? Just a question.
Yeah, I don't know. It does bring into question is like what is north, south? I mean, they're called cardinal directions. I mean, that's got to mean something, hasn't it?
I'm still of the same camp that there is only one true direction, and that is north.
And do you put that north at a point?
Well, I don't know yet, because all I know is that every compass only points north. But it may not be pointing at something. It may just be a magnetic field.
So is it the compass
the arm
then?
of the compass is aligned to?
Yeah, is that what you go with the compass then?
Well, I'm not sure. Like, I don't even know how a compass even works. I know it works on magnetics.
Yeah, I
But
know. What I'm saying
the
is,
air,
though,
if
right?
the air is magnetic,
For your
yeah, it's weird.
understanding of north, south, east, and west, do they all relate to north? And is your geometric understanding of north, south, east, and west due to the fact that
But
a
north is the
compass?
only one that we can. The north is the only one that we can be certain of
I don't know.
because
What,
it
like, what
points
do you
in
mean,
that
though?
direction.
The only one you
But
can be
what is
certain
north?
of?
Well, because the compass only points to north, but it's a
How do you
straight
know?
line, so it's
How
pointing
do you
south as
know,
well.
Rob? How do you
I,
know
do-
the
I
compass only
don't.
points to north?
I don't. I can say I don't know that for sure. But
Okay.
if you put a
But
north, south,
so
east,
is
and west
no, no,
on a
Rob,
yeah,
is your
sorry, yeah,
understanding
yeah,
of
sorry.
all of the cardinal directions then perpendicular because of your understanding of north?
Well,
Or do
no,
you not have them as
uh,
being perpendicular?
well, on the compass, like on it, it has a center point, right?
Yeah, that's the pivot of the
The
arm,
compass
the
itself
needle.
has a center point to which the arm spins.
Yes.
Right. So that spinning motion only happens when you spin the disc of the compass.
But it
Otherwise, if
could
you
be done with
just
like
put that compass
could
down,
be done with a needle on water, right? There's no center point if you were to do that, right? There's no
yeah, there's like
pivot
if you
point
put a needle on
around
water, what's
that.
it gonna do? It's gonna sink.
Well, yeah, on Mercury then.
Yeah, I'm not sure which direction because Mercury is also a metal, so would it have any sort of electromagnetic properties to affect the needle? There's so many questions. I'm really sorry. I got to get some work done right now, but these are the greatest conversations that we can have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's part of what we're going over here. So I think it's all right. You don't need to reply now, Rob. If you you get back to your work, get caught.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
really
get caught
sorry,
by
Kev.
your
I'm
boss
really sorry.
talking to us again. You could be in
Yeah,
trouble.
right? Fuck crazy flat earthers. What's
Yeah.
going on? Yeah, yeah. I understand, Kev. I understand. Thank you. Thank you for understanding.
So the understanding of that is if north is a point or whatever, you've still got south and you've still got east and west. Now, they are cardinal directions, which means they're like forwards, backwards, left and right. Up, down, left and right or whatever. Depends however you want to deal with it. As vertical has an up and down, a north obviously has an opposite, which is south. And if you have a straight line, then you can definitely have a perpendicular. It sort of comes with it. And that I think that's the understanding that most people have of a straight liner and, what perpendicular is. Sounds weird, right? To come into this arena and be talking about these basic concepts. I mean, we've done nothing but talk about these basic concepts. But we have got proofs of the straight line. So if your understanding of all of this, of everyone in this arena, relies on the fact that if they want to have either of these models, they must have a misunderstanding of how you perceive perpendicular, then when we've developed a test about a straight line, it's hardly surprising that the people within this arena don't really get it. They don't understand why we were doing it in the first place. They seem to have missed the whole point of it. And I don't know whether that's intentional. It's on purpose. We've been going over some conversations that we've had. And it, you know, stepping back now, it is very easy to see that, is it placating? One side helps the other side within these conversations, particularly when you start talking about these problems. Because you'll bring up a problem, right? Say, flat earthers have a problem with perpendicular for north, south, east and west, because they have east and west as a circle. The globe guys will come in and say, oh, we don't have a problem with north, south, east and west. What are you talking about? I don't know why you're saying people have a problem with north, south, east and west. We don't have a problem with north, south, east and west being perpendicular. North, south, east and west are perpendicular. And we say, yeah, but it's not, we were saying about the flat earthers. Globe earthers have a problem with horizontal and vertical being perpendicular. And then the flat earthers will say, we don't have a problem with horizontal and vertical being perpendicular. I don't know why you're saying that we have a problem with horizontal and vertical being perpendicular. And then we say, no, we didn't say that. We said that it's the globe guys. And because these globe earth, flat earth teams have been working together for so long, they protect each other. And this is one of their little things that I don't think they can see around it. This idea of perpendicularity and geometric proofs. It's not as easy a conversation as you would imagine to have, particularly with the people that are within the arena, because they've already experienced it and they have people around that have experience in breaking up the conversation to avoid having the conversation. They have many ways of doing that. They've been doing it for years as a team, which is that's why we're here. I'm guessing we're here to sort of point out to people that there is another way, right? You don't necessarily have to pick up either of these models, because both of these models, globe and flat earth, require you to accept some sort of contradictory reasoning. And some people can't do that. I mean, I think that's why modern society people are having so many problems, because they're required to take on these contradictory things, which obviously causes problems. You holding contradictions that you're unaware of definitely causes problems. Cognitive dissonance and the actual reaction to the mind about these contradictions, it reacts in many different ways. None of us here are professional psychologists, but I think most of us can see that, you know, people are affected by these things. Some of them severely. I mean, if you can
some
fully...
people even take their vacations to the Yukon territories for some strange reason.
Don't know what you've got. I don't know what you've got up with the Yukon territories, Rob. I mean, I've never been there or anything. But...
No, I know, but that's my big point. I have a coworker who just took 3 weeks vacation to go to the Yukon, and then when I Google why would you go to the Yukon in June, And the first thing that Google says is because there's at least 21 hours of sunlight. Well, that's really weird. How do they get 21 hours of sunlight in the Yukon if the sun's not just traveling in a circle above your head? Or if you're spinning and the sun's just stationary above your head in the globe modeling, you're spinning just in a smaller circle, right? There there is 21 hours of sun in reality when you're in the Yukon. Regardless of what model you adhere to. So my question when this guy gets back from vacation, I'm gonna be like, why did you go to the Yukon? Do you have family there? And if he says no, we just wanted to go camping. Well, it why wouldn't you go camping south? Because it gets hotter as you go south in the summer. You're going to like the coldest place in Canada in the summer. That's just strange to me.
Rob, what's this got to do with perpendicular and straight line and that kind of thing? It seemed a bit
Mapping.
tangent to the conversation. It's a bit odd.
Well, it's Model Affliction Monday, and I'm trying to figure out why someone would go north for a vacation in the
Okay.
summertime when most people go south in the summer to get hotter weather and go camping and shit.
How do you feel about the
My model
perpendicular?
affliction. Well, like I said, I don't think the compass proves anything.
So
Just because they
have you
put
got the cardinal
perpendicular
directions?
lines on the compass and label north, south, east, and west, that doesn't prove anything to me. But when
Have
I
you,
go to if my buddy goes to the Yukon and sees a 24-hour sun and comes back and is like, yeah, I saw a 24-hour sun. That doesn't prove anything either. But why did you feel the need to go there and see it? Are you going to Antarctica next to see if you can see the same thing? Because would it need to be the same thing in Antarctica? Sorry, my model affliction is showing.
oh, well, so are the cardinal directions perpendicular for you then, Rob, or how do you feel about
I
that?
don't believe there are cardinal directions.
So it doesn't.
I've tried to make this. I've tried to make this absolutely clear. There is only one direction that the compass points, unless you include the south at the same time, because it's like vertical is up and down. So north is north and south. So it, it affects my model affliction when somebody says
Do
they're
you
going to the
have
Yukon
north
and
at a
feel a
point,
new.
Rob?
Well, that's again, I've never followed a compass until it stopped pointing north. So I don't know if it would ever stop pointing north. There's no way for me to know that.
God, when Bev was saying it affects people, in strange ways, and you came in with this kind of odd kind of tangent to the question. I just thought, is Rob okay, or are you? Does it
No, I'm
affect you?
not okay.
Does it affect
I'm not
you?
okay, Elder.
Deeply? Does it
Well, I'm
affect you?
wondering
Deeply?
what part you kind of cut out there. I missed the end of that.
I'm doing, yeah. Well, I'm doing the flat Earth job. I'm fixing my car at the moment, like you normally are. But,
Yeah, I'm working
yeah,
on a Mercedes myself, but
yeah, I was just interested. It just seemed like you seemed a bit bothered about it for some reason. Maybe I was
I
wrong.
am bothered about it.
Okay.
Well, you see, the flat Earth idea and the globe Earth idea, right, is the other side of north is south. So if you're looking north, you're also looking south. Just a little bit further.
Yeah.
Well, I mean
I get
that to
that.
me,
That sounds ridiculous.
yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds
I'm
ridiculous.
Bev. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you, Bev. It sounds ridiculous. But does the sun travel in a circle overhead? And does the North Star just stay fixed in its position, and the compass points in that direction, no matter where you are on the Earth,
Well, like
towards the North Star. But
I say it goes
it's on
from
the ground.
east to west, and that's a straight line.
Yeah, but what if the sun doesn't travel in a straight line? It circles around the North Star. Because the whole star system, if you go up there and point your camera straight up, you'll see just the Earth, the sky spin. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I don't even know what the sun is or any of the lights in the sky, so I wouldn't be willing to say that they're objects or anything. And all known. Have you ever done any of these tests with shadows or anything? Have you ever been tempted to actually do that? Because I mean, there's a lot of claims been made by a lot of people about sticks and shadows and the sun and things like that. Has anyone ever actually done any of that? You always get silence, right?
I've never done it. Well, I've looked at sundials, but didn't really get any definitive times going.
If you
But somebody
if you put a stick into the thing, and then the shadow is a straight line. Like
yeah.
it casts a straight line on the shadow. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's one of those things that you can't really get a grip of. I don't think you can understand what's going on, but it seems to be that it's traveling in a straight line. All of the appearances are straight lines. All of the understanding is a straight line, and the cardinal directions are straight lines. That's the way we understand things as well. Geometry dictates that straight lines govern all. The sphere and the circle is just an accumulation of points which are nothings, that of which has no parts. So you can't really have a series of nothings. You have to take the points individually, and the moment you relate one point to another, you've got a straight line geometrically, and that's all we're dealing with. So I don't know. It is a tricky conversation, obviously, and it's very let's call it hyper focused, right? Within this arena that we're dealing with, I know these guys have got all sorts of different things, right? You've got airplanes and flight routes, you've got the sun, you've got all, multiple different ways that the guys have got the flat earth, globe earth battle going on. Whereas really what we're dealing with here is the fundamental understanding of where do you start off? And I'd say you start off at the straight line. And the way to be able to prove the straight line, one of the ways, is to show perpendicular. Since it's a fundamental understanding that all right angles are equal, I mean, everybody can understand that, right? A quarter of a circle would be a quadrant, would be divided the diameter, perpendiculars, making right angles. I mean, that is a fundamental understanding. You can't get away from that. Now, therefore, the problem becomes, what's your perception, right? Because you're taught that horizontal and vertical are perpendicular, so therefore there be straight lines. You're taught that north, south, east, and west are perpendicular. So therefore, they're straight lines too. It's after that point that the model rears its head and says, but... And that's the part that I can't understand. And I know I've been around a load of people for many years that have said, but... And then something, but it doesn't make any sense. Because you're trying to undo a geometric understanding of something.
Yeah, that's where the psychology comes in, doesn't it? Because when you get to that point that you're describing, whatever that person's going to say isn't coming from a position of a knowing and experiencing, going to come from a position of an imagining, and then they'll take that over the actual geometry. That's what's fascinating about it, and that's a psychological issue.
That's model affliction.
Yes.
In a nutshell, it's when the model can overtake a geometric understanding. Goes into like the land of woo a bit, doesn't it? Something that you can't really know, but you've managed to justify it. And we've been talking a lot about this sort of stuff recently and over the years, right? I have the ability to not have a model, and had it not been for me coming here into this arena, I don't think I'd have ever noticed it. I'd have just been a different person, right? I would have just been a regular person living his life. But because I came into this arena, I became abundantly aware that there were people who do have models. So the question is, for me, how are they different? Like, for what reason do they have models that I don't? Where did they come from? How, and it just seemed to be that everyone has these models that I don't have. One or the other.
They were programmed with them.
I think so.
Hence the neuro-linguistic programming. Everybody's programmed with whatever model or worldview that they have. Anything that a person has that is an imagining instead of an experience or a knowing is going to have a model applied to it. Whether you took it from your parents, or you took it from your teachers, or you took it from a friend, or you took it from someone because you didn't have the experience. So you had to have taken on a model at some point. Now, maybe the model makes perfect sense with other things that you've experienced, and that's fine, but you can't say that you don't have a model, you have reality, because it's not something you've experienced, like the 12 hours or the 24-hour sun, to use an example of what was being talked about earlier.
Elder Bear, can you mute for us? Whatever that is, whatever it is you're doing.
Testing the car. Seeing if the car starts.
I didn't realize it'd pick up that much.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. It's 10 feet away.
Yeah, you want to switch on crispy. Should get rid of that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating for me. But within this arena, it's obviously somebody like me / us here. It's obviously a problem. Just us asking the questions and pointing out that there are other people out there that maybe not aware of the model that they hold. Because I think it's pretty obvious, like Kevin says, you've been programmed with a model. It's part of your schema, your world view of everything that you know and have been taught, and everything you base your understanding on has to be filtered through this model of everything that you know. And incorporated into that is obviously one of these models. Now, everybody's been grown up with the globe, right? You guys have been given the globe model as a child. I had that taken away from me, so I don't have that. So I don't really have a need to replace it. I didn't ever have a model. But it appears that within this, people who do have let's say a globe model, but then come to the reasoning or find some way to question it, right? If your life's all hunky-dory, then you might never need question it. You never need to question the model that you've been given. But if you come into this arena, obviously, you're going to get questioned on this globe. And since it's only made up of contradictory facts, then questioning it may end up with you finding one of these contradictions. At that moment, you find the contradiction. You've got two choices. You find a way to resolve the contradiction, or you accept the contradiction. If you accept a contradiction into your logical framework, then I'd say that's the first step to madness. It might even be like full-on madness straight away.
And why do people? I'd be interested in getting an idea of why people would do that. Like, I have my own theories. I'm not sure that it matters, but to me, that's because we've talked about it a million times. It's not just in this arena. It's like in all sorts of, especially 2024, right? We're in the month of June. You could take that for what it's worth. So I mean, it's like, yeah, contradictions just as far as the eye can see, that people are accepting contradictions. Like,
Yeah.
how does the mind do that willingly? Is an interesting question to me.
Yeah, accept the contradiction, or when give it up, try and resolve it. But if you're in a false dichotomy and you give up one side of it, then you go to the other one. Now, if you've given up a globe and you've accepted flat, but then it turns out one of the contradictions, the geometric contradictions of the globe, is it's also the same on a flat Earth, then are you going to have to accept one or the other? Or do you have the ability of giving both of them up and saying ep or hey?
If you think it's a true dichotomy, then you can't, right? You'll be vacillating between the two forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and if both of them have the same contradictory geometric reasoning, because that's what we're dealing with here. I may make light of the geometric reasoning, but this is pure logic. You can't get any purer logic reasoning than this. If ever there was anything that actually made sense, it's the geometric reasoning. That is, you can guarantee that to be true. So you have to give that up. And I'm not willing to do that. That's the reason why I am where I am, and the reason I get as much hate as I do is because I'm not willing to give up geometric reasoning for any model. And I'm okay with that. I don't need a model, but I understand that other people might. I don't want to be taking other people's models off them. We just want to be able to have the conversation. But for some reason, anybody holding these models seem to get angry, upset.
Yeah. Well, it's where I was going to go. I mean, if you have to accept a contradiction to accept a certain model, and if you've done that, you've now accepted the contradiction, accepted that certain model. Is it worth it? The question has to be asked then. If one thinks that accepting a contradiction to accept a certain model is going to lead to madness, then understand when you're talking to these people, most likely, if they've accepted a contradiction to get to that model, they're either in full blown madness or on their way down that road, or right. So, one, I'd say be careful. Two, don't be surprised when they act the way Bev's saying that they act, right? Like fly off the handle, rage beyond rage. I mean, don't be surprised when that happens, because seems to be the tendency of a mad person to do that.
Yeah, we've been told that, this reasoning and the understanding and the way we talk about these things geometrically is the reason people don't want to come and talk to us. But I would say that the people that don't want to come and talk to us are these people that do have this model affliction, and they're much more comfortable talking to other people with model affliction. Now, it may be, I don't know. See, this idea of the geometric misunderstanding between these two models shows the similarities between the two. I'm beginning to wonder whether, there is really any difference. Like once you get into the full-blown model affliction, I don't think it matters which model you have.
I don't either.
I think model affliction's the same either way.
I have one quick question on that. Wouldn't the flat earthers also have a problem with triangles having 180 degrees? If they have east and west as a circle?
Well, that was one of the things that Jeremy said, right? In order for him to falsify, I don't know. Please bear with us if you're not up to what we're talking about here, but over the coming months or whatever, we'll try and explain it. But Jeremy says, take this for an example. If I'm east of you and you're west of me, that means that between you and me, there is a straight line, and the direction of that straight line would be east-west. Right? Now, what we're both going to do, we're both going to look at north. Now, to Jeremy, north would be a light in the sky, Polaris.
Yeah.
And he classes that as a point. So therefore, you've already got 2 points. One me, the other one you. And then the third point would be the light in the sky. So therefore, the angle between this east-west and the light in the sky could not be 90 degrees, because that's the triangle axiom of Euclid. And Jeremy's been telling us that, he's disproved the perpendicularity of north, south, east and west by that little thought experiment. So they obviously have to have triangles having 180 degrees for him to come to that falsification of perpendicularity. One to think of, right?
Doesn't
I
really
would
sound
say that this is
like an argument, but
I would say that this is a bad example because it is why two persons indicates east and west. For at least for me, east and west is indicated by sunset and sunrise, and none of these two people are in the west and in the east in that sense. So I would say that pointing at people staying somewhere and indicating them as east or west is for me it is nonsensical because
Hang on, paper. But if east and west are defined by the sun rising and setting, what if you were outside for 3 days and the sun never rose or set? It just traveled in a circuit above your head.
If
I'm gonna find out in 3 weeks when this guy gets back if that's what he experienced. Because I know other people have gone up north and videotaped the sun for 24 hours.
I would say that east and west or sunrise and sunset applies to situation where really sunrise and sunset occur. If they don't
But
occur,
if
I
that
don't
doesn't
know.
occur, then if that doesn't occur, then how do you determine east and west?
I would say that in that situation they can determine this as I don't know how they determine
East and
east
west
and
would be
west.
circles then.
Yeah, if it is a circle, so it is the path of the sun is a circle, but sunrise and sunset there are specific positions where the sun is really setting and rising.
Do we
Sorry,
really think that though, right?
I'm just saying. Well, here's what I think.
I was gonna say,
The
since
sun
when was the
is
compass
traveling in a
east and
circle
west
overhead.
detected?
Circle. Yeah, I don't.
Alright. No. What I'm trying to say is that if the sun travels in a circle over our heads,
But where did
it
you get that from, Rob? Like, where did that come from? For
a
you to be
couple of
able to
people.
say if.
Yes. Okay, so does the sun? This is not if. I'm actually asking a question. Does the sun travel in a circular motion over our heads?
Say
And
no. I
if
say it goes
not,
in a straight
or if
line
so,
from east
then
to west.
the sun.
Yes.
Yeah,
I have to argue because it is physically impossible. What you just said, it is impossible because if the sun is going in straight line, and if you are looking north, and so the sun will rise and set always behind you, always. If the sun is going in straight line, the sunset and the sunrise will be always due to east south and west south respectively, always, because it will be always behind you, and this is not what we experience, especially right now in the summer. Now in where I live, the sun is rising east north and setting west north. So it is in front of me. I don't need to look behind me. I don't need to turn around to south east or south west to look at the sun. Comparing to compass, I am looking at northeast and or east north, better to say. So So it cannot be. For me, it is impossibility that sun is going in straight lines. It is just physically impossible. Because we would experience the sun at this latitude as we live. So the sun is always behind us, always, would be always behind us. This is not what happens in reality.
So is it the sun then that gives us north, south, east, and west? Because that seems to be what you're doing.
No.
And you're saying that north, south, east, and west can't be straight line cardinal directions because the sun.
The sun is setting where it is setting and rising where it is rising. So you can draw a straight line between these 2 points. And if you draw a line between these 2 points from horizon to horizon, wherever you are, this line will be perpendicular to your north-south direction.
Yeah,
always.
and to you, it doesn't look like it's going in a straight line.
The path of the sun, of course not. Yes, absolutely. But
you can't say that it isn't. It just doesn't look like it is.
No, it doesn't, because of the especially when it is sunrise, so it is in the morning. You can see that it is not going in straight line.
Could I just say one thing real quick? Because I can't stay real long, but this seems to be like a conflation, like what Jeremy's doing with north being a light in the sky, whereas now we're talking about a light in the sky being east and west. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem
It's a different light in the sky, right? It's another light in the sky, but a different one.
Well, that's what I asked Jeremy. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really get an answer, but is the compass dictated by Polaris, or is east and west dictated by the sun? I don't think so, but hey.
Yeah, it keeps getting obfuscated between the two. He's talking about north, south, east, and west being straight lines, and our understanding of how they work. And people keep wanting to talk about lights in the sky. Now, is that part of the model affliction?
I would say no, because lights in the sky are from, let's say, beginning of creation, and the compass is not. So the meaning of east, west, and north was geographical meaning, not compass meaning.
Yeah, but they're still perpendicular. The cardinal directions have always been perpendicular. But what it seems to me is that, people are wanting to bring a light in the sky into the equation. And what's the conclusion? I mean, are you going to make them not perpendicular? Or going to try and tell us that, the old people, whenever they did, and the understanding was perpendicular, that they perhaps were incorrect?
Maybe, but what I am saying is that the first meaning of these directions is not derived from compass. That's my point. So east and west was about sunrise and sunset, and north was about Polaris, because this is the name. This is North Star. So when, for example, for me, when Jeremy is saying that for him North Star is north, for me it sounds very natural, and it sounded natural for many people for millennia. So for me it is no problem. I have no problem with that. Why would I have problem with that? While people for millennia they didn't have.
Well, that's the problem with north then, isn't it? Because east and west, obviously straight line, but north, where you put north, is that perpendicular to the east-west, or is it some geographical position, or is it a
Yeah.
light in the sky, or is it where the compass points? I mean, there's quite a few different ideas there of where north could be.
For me, there is without any compass. I can say that they are perpendicular because, as I said, if you draw a line from east to west and you are looking north, you are looking at North Star, at Polaris. So if you draw a line between sunset and sunrise, this line will be on a horizontal plane. It will be perpendicular to this direction, to the north on that horizontal plane. For me,
So
it
is
is
that
no problem.
coincidental then?
What do you mean?
Well, does it just so happen that there happens to be a light in the sky that follows this perpendicular relationship? Or is it some sort of a feature, that they are related that way? Or is it just a coincidence?
Mm, For me, it is. I wouldn't say that this is coincidence, but it is just experience. So it is a posteriori, let's say a posteriori, would say definition derived from reality. Because most definitions are from reality, so they are a posteriori. So, and this is what I depicted is from my experience. So I have no problem. So I don't hold contradiction or I don't have cognitive dissonance with that.
Here's my problem from a modelless person, right? I look at that light in the sky and I say, okay, that's north. East and west are perpendicular to it. Now, you also say east and west perpendicular to that light in the sky, right? Wherever you are. Now, I find it difficult for me to imagine somebody looking at that light in the sky and saying east and west are perpendicular to it, but then being on the other side. Like me looking north and then being on the other side, also looking at this light, right? So they would, to me, they'd be looking south, and their east would be west and west would be east, to me. But they'd still imagine that they're looking at it the same as I am. Now, I can't get my brain to do that. That's not, to me, that's not what a cardinal direction is.
Yes, I would say maybe it is, because cardinal means rotating in literal sense. I have problem.
I don't think so, Paper. I don't think that we just read cardinal direction etymology last week. I don't think it has anything to do with circular.
And cardinal is from cardo or not from cardo? The word cardo. I would say it is, if you are talking about etymology. And cardo is pivot. This is something that is rotating upon, like door on pivots. This is, and literally this is cardo in Latin.
Yeah, but what we just
pivot-
explained there, Paper, wasn't cardinal. It was complete opposites. My east would be your west. Your west would be my east. My north would be your south. Your south would be your north would be my south.
But
if we were both the opposite side of a center.
yes, yes, but
But
if
that's not cardinal, is it? I mean, that
why?
wouldn't be in the definition of cardinal. Not to me, anyway. Not my understanding of cardinal.
I don't know, because but still, question for me is what cardinal means in that definition. If there is definition that
So
these the directions are cardinal, so
pivotal or hinge, but it's principal, chief, essential.
yeah, I agree.
But that's not circular. How is a
Uh,
pivot a circular? Pivot means a door open and closed.
yeah,
A door does not go in a circle
yes, it
unless
is.
you're unless you're in a rotating door, like in a big
Yes, and
hotel or something.
this is how you opening and closing the door. You are making a circle or circuit or quadrant or whatever. It doesn't matter how much of the
So
circle
what does
you
that
are
have to
making,
do with principal, chief, or essential?
because there are two meanings. So one is literal
No.
meaning.
It's the same meaning. Chief, pivotal, early 14th century from Latin cardinalis. Cardinalis. Principal,
Yes,
chief, essential.
yes, and this is
Literally pertaining to a hinge.
yes,
That on which something turns or depends.
yeah, yes, hinge, yes, so literal.
So you're
So
turning that into a circle. That's interesting to me.
no, it is what you just wrote.
Quadrant of a circle.
This is what you
Wow.
just wrote.
No, I think that's what you are imagining in your mind, because I don't get circle from that at all.
Uh,
But you guys do, which is super interesting to me.
But you wrote that this is hinge, that
I
something
did.
is rotating upon it.
My door does not go in a circle. They're on hinges.
Yes, those hinges are posts,
Woo!
right?
Man, we are learning some new stuff from you guys tonight.
Okay, but
This is good.
Kevin, can you agree that if you are, of course, I assume that you have normal doors, not like Japanese or whatever.
But what does the door have to? Yes, okay. So even if I grant that paper, what does the door have to do with the idea that cardinal directions are chief, principal, essential? They're not two. It's part of the same definition. How are we
Who
turning
gave
that
them
into a
their
circle?
cardinal?
Because
Who gave
without
them their title of cardinal?
because without these pivots, your door will not open or
It's
close.
not about a door. What does a door have to do with principal, chief, and essential?
But this is principal, chief, and
We're
essential
talking about
is
cardinal directions.
analogous, let's say, meaning. But the
No,
literal
it's
meaning, yes, it is pivot. It is just literal what the cardo means in Latin. And
wow.
so this is what yes. So we have this cardos or pivots on which the door is rotating.
Comes
the
back to
axis.
the circle, doesn't it? I guess the cardinal directions are a circle, Bev. Did you ever think of that?
No, I am talking about cardinal word cardinal, because so for me it is
So
not
circle directions, cardinal, circle,
Kevin,
circle
I think,
directions.
Kevin, don't act like a Glover.
What?
My question was, who gave these directions the title of cardinal?
yes, this is my question also.
I don't know. But what does that have to do with anything?
Well, that's important. No, that's important because you guys are all claiming that all four of these directions are cardinal.
Well, it could be
Who
pivotal,
says
right?
they are cardinal?
This whole
They're-
thing, what we're talking about here, perpendicularity.
What we're saying is that they're
it could be
perpendicular.
pivotal.
Yes, they're perpendicular. And what I'm hearing you guys say is that no, they're circular.
Well,
No,
Not
no.
perpendicular.
One of them.
no.
One of them is circular.
No, not if they're all cardinal directions. If north, south, east, west, are
That's the
cardinal
thing, Kevin.
directions,
Who
and
says
cardinal
they're
is circle,
cardinal?
then they're circular directions. North, south, east, west, circles.
Yeah, no, north-south is still a straight line. They just make the other one a circle. Like cardinal means straight line and circle, apparently. To the flat earthers, right? Not to the globe
Circle.
guys. Doesn't mean that to the globe guys.
Yes, but yes, I agree. For them, everything is curved. But for me, both.
Are you sure? They have them as being perpendicular.
Yes, they say so, but for me, they are literally perpendicular.
Yeah, they
I
are
have-
in reality. I think they are in reality. It's just that this model is what we're saying. This is the whole problem. The problem is
But
really
you think the sun
exposed.
travels in a straight line, Bev?
It's exposed within the flat Earth. This one, north, south, east, and west, cardinal directions, have to become a circle in the flat Earth model. That's what we're saying. It is the flat Earth model problem. To everybody else living in reality, north, south, east, and west are perpendicular. They're cardinal directions. Let's just go on with what we're doing.
All right, then if I go to the Yukon and I see the sun for 3 days never set, then it's not traveling in a straight line.
Well, then you want to make east-west a
Then it's
circle
rotating,
for some
then it's
reason.
then it's spinning about a point. It has to, in reality, because you're watching it circle above your head.
You have to believe your friend.
I'll find out in 3 weeks. But
Are
I
you
already
going to
know
the
people that
Yukon?
have videotaped. No, one of my coworkers decided I'm going to take a trip to the Yukon in June. So I Googled, why would you go to Yukon in June?
I heard you.
And I posted a picture. Okay.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
I'm
just saying
it all again.
I'm just saying you're going to accept what someone tells you rather than experiencing it yourself.
Right.
Okay.
And then remember, this
I
isn't
understand your problem with that. I understand that, but
what we're saying here, Rob. Is
not
like
some random person.
this is just everybody's understanding of it. Like, I'm not telling anybody that they're right or they're wrong or anything. I'm just saying that I can't think of it differently other than the geometric understanding. It seems like other people can. And that, to me, is interesting. I want to know more.
And to me, I'm slightly different. Like I would want to know what the hell the sun has to do with east or west, or north or south, for that matter.
Yeah, how can
Somebody
the
said
sun?
that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
Yeah, but Paper himself said it doesn't really, especially now this time of year, doesn't exactly rise in the east. It rises in this kind of the northeast, east by northeast, and sets in the west, sort of, but not really west. It sets in the west, south or west by southwest.
Yes, if you are looking at compass,
So it processes.
yeah,
So, but what does that have to do with east, west, north, south, other than you're looking at it in relationship to a compass that you're looking at?
so we have two
And
east.
how does that compass work?
You tell me, how does a compass work?
I don't know, but all I know is it only points.
What's
in
it
one
pointing to?
It doesn't point at the sun, does it?
I don't know. It could be
Definitely
pointing
doesn't point
south.
to the
No,
sun.
it could be pointing
No.
south.
The sun
I
has nothing to
understand
do
that.
with where it's
I'm
pointing.
with you. I am with you on
Okay.
that one because it doesn't
Yeah.
point at the sun.
Okay, then where does it point to?
Okay, it points
It points in a north-south orientation only.
What's the north that the compass is pointing to?
How in the hell would I know? I've never been there to where it's pointing to. I never followed it north until it stops pointing north because that's ridiculous. But I know somebody that's traveling up as far as you can go in Canada, as far as I can tell. and I don't even know why he's going. I just found out he was going to the Yukon. I'm like, why would you go to the Yukon in June? It's
Well,
summertime.
You do know,
That's when you go
Saragaki, right?
south.
You know Saragaki?
I
Right.
love Saragaki.
Yeah,
This is my
he
favorite
lives
Glober.
in the most northern town.
Okay.
So
Does he ever
he's
witness
ever,
a 24-hour sun?
oh, I would imagine he does, yeah. If anybody would.
But I thought it traveled in a straight line.
Would be him.
Yeah, I would say that there are many people who live in that region, let's say north, that they can experience this 24-hour sun.
Right.
But
So they don't have to take a vacation there.
I assume yes.
My model affliction is showing, because why would you choose to go to a place like that is super cold for summer vacation? I'm gonna go somewhere warm where I can like do some swimming and shit. You're gonna go to the most northern place you can find, and the only reason Google says you would go there is to witness 21 hours of sunlight.
Yeah, but 21 hours isn't 24, Rob. So that implies that it's going to set.
I understand that.
Okay.
About 21 hours of sunlight. Yeah, how long would it set for? 3 hours?
Still goes away.
To say specifically that's what they were going to do.
Oh,
Is that what
Elderbear,
it
you
is
need
they're
to
doing?
fix your mic
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I don't know what's going
Like
on.
I said, I don't know. I won't know for 3 weeks. So this is going to keep me in suspense, and my model affliction is going to show it every time. When he gets back from vacation in 3 weeks, I'll find out why he went there. He might just be going to visit family, and I'm just so model afflicted that I think that everything's a conspiracy.
For me, observing the sun behaving like as it is behaving, it's not model affliction, it is just observation. So if you would experience 24-hour sun, so that would be your experience. So I wouldn't say that it is unbiased. This is just observation. But I would say that it was straight line. It is impossible to sun making circle in straight line. It is just impossible. But I think that I can prove impossibility with my let's say example. So I am reducing to impossibility, because it would be always be behind me, always. It will never rise and set in front of me, let's say, if I am pointing north. And it is right now in the summer. So it is impossible if it if it was traveling in straight line. Impossible.
Perception's everything, isn't it?
I don't know. I am just pointing out physical impossibility.
Yeah. Well, the point of this was that both of these models have a perception problem of perpendicular, and that seems to be what we have here. Is that for you to imagine east and west as a circle, then for you to imagine it as being perpendicular, you have to place it perpendicular at a point, and you have to put that point on one of the circles. So you have to imagine east and west as being perpendicular to north and south, i.e. a straight line, but also perceive it as the circle. So you have to think of it as both. Now, we all know that the flat earthers have a problem with the globe earthers because they imagine horizontal is a tangent, which is exactly the same as the east and west tangent on the flat earth. So we're just pointing out that for both of these people that have, we call it a false dichotomy, they both have a similar idea of this understanding of perpendicularity. So that should be obvious that the flat earthers should understand at least a reasoning why the globe guys have this misunderstanding about perpendicularity, right? How you can consider something being perpendicular but then imagine it as a circle.
I just don't imagine this as a circle because, as I said before, I'm referring also to this example with Jeremy that you are standing on the east and someone is standing on the west, and you are looking at each other, etc.
Paper, you saying that you don't imagine it as a circle, right?
Yeah.
Is it slightly irrelevant because Rob's just told us he does. So us saying that people imagine things as circles but then also perpendicular, you speaking up to say that you don't isn't addressing the problem that does exist of people who do imagine it as a circle and
But I
the
don't
straight
think the
line
east
as
and
well.
west are perpendicular to north and south.
So there's another one to throw in.
Thank you.
But
Sorry,
what you
Bev.
will find is you won't find any globe people other than the ones that say about reciprocal zenith angles. But you won't find anyone that says that horizontal and vertical aren't perpendicular.
Yeah, I would never say that. Because horizontal and vertical are clearly in the, they come from a book, right? Euclid's Elements, where he starts from a point and goes to a line, and those are both straight lines, and then the 90s. But we can't do that with the sun and the stars and a magnetic compass. It's not the same.
Well, but that's the whole point, because we were having this conversation. In order for you to say circle, what you're saying is equal distances for the radius. And you can't do that. You can't say circle unless you are absolutely certain of an equal radius. And since that could never be measured, it's one of those things that really it's impossible to be able to say.
I can agree with you there. I don't know that east and west are circles. They could be ovals, but I don't know.
So that's the problem. That you can be in this as an adult for years and still be slightly unsure about a perpendicular relationship. You can conceive it differently. Lots of people can. There's all sorts of different ideas on what's going on. And I don't think anybody's like saying, that they do have the answer. But we're trying to find...
Yeah, I'm sorry for... I just want to apologize to Kevin for calling him a glober. Sorry, Kevin.
That's all right, Rob. You aren't the first person to to get a little upset with me about
go.
these similar types of conversations.
Got the
It's all right.
Bevite treatment.
I was just
Kevin.
getting a little.
Go,
frustrated.
Rob.
That's
Go,
all.
Rob.
I didn't
I'm
mean to
kidding.
I didn't mean to take it out on you.
Sorry, Rob. I was. See, can you hear my mic? Okay.
That's better, yeah.
I was. Yeah, I was just a little unsure, Rob. Did your friend tell you what he was going to the Yukon for, or was it just you thought, why would somebody
No.
go?
Yes.
So you don't know.
I do not know why he went, but that's a
Could be.
strange destination for a vacation.
I bet he's going to do it to impress a lady.
I was going to say he could have gone to pan
It
for
was just
gold
him and his-
in the river, right?
It's
So this is
him
just
and
Do
his
that in
your-
the wintertime.
Yeah,
This
well,
is
I'll
just your
find out in 3
imagination.
weeks. Yeah. I already admitted to that because I don't know.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
I just
bit.
found out he was going like yesterday, and then I googled why would you go to the Yukon in June, and I posted a picture of what Google said.
Yeah, he could be like a digger driver. to
Hell yeah,
Do
man.
the gold.
He's got to see
Get
his
up there.
uncle.
Yukon
Gold.
gold. Yeah.
I'd go to the Yukon for that if I could get some gold.
I get you. I'm with you guys, but I
So
don't
you
think
just-
that's why. He might just be going to visit family.
Yeah, so you're
But
just
because-
hoping he's going to bring some evidence
yeah,
back
but-
then.
Because I'm a model afflicted flat earther, I think he's
Yeah, he
going
might-
to see the sun for 24 hours. That's my brain.
But if he comes back with no photos or video, then because he's not interested in that.
Correct, but he
Yeah,
sure
right.
likes to make fun of me for not believing in gravity and stuff like that.
Oh, right, okay.
Such a strange word. It'll be making a comeback soon.
What's that, gravity
Absolute
or gravitas?
high defense. It'll be bending straight lines. Don't you worry.
I won't allow them to bend straight lines.
Not even if they're east-west.
Yeah. I think you already have, Rob, sorry.
Who
My-
said east and west are straight lines?
No, Rob, I have different answer for that because I would say that these east-west direction on compass they don't conform to reality. Just it. This is just a convention. Someone just put perpendicular line on compass to north and south, and they call
Amen,
it
brother.
east and west. So this is just convention, and I would say that it is not proper to infer from compass reality because this is affirming the consequent. I would say that this is a logical error because your Beth and Kevin argument is that because something is on compass, therefore reality has to conform to that. That would be non sequitur or affirming the consequent.
Not reality has to conform to it. It's just the perceptions of it. North, south, east and west. When you're talking to the general public, right, they're perpendicular. That's the understanding that we have of them.
Stupid though.
Yeah, but what we're after here is finding a rhetoric. It's called advanced simplicity, as you know. That's what we do. And now if we're trying to, obviously, conversations within this arena get very heated because of the model affliction. But we're not after that. But I don't want to upset people that have studied
Yeah, I'm sorry for
flat
getting
Earth
upset.
or globe Earth, right? I'm wanting to converse with people who are completely unaware of this, who I personally would hope to help them, give them an understanding so they don't end up wandering into a room asking some guy why he says that the Earth's measured flat. Right? Because if random people end up doing that without any understanding of what's going on and any of the basic problems that people have, confusions, then like what are we doing here? I don't want to be talking to flat earthers and upsetting them. I don't want to be talking to globe earthers and upsetting them. I want to be talking to people in reality about things in reality that we can get on with and we can agree on. So the normal understanding of north, south, east and west is when people have looked at a compass. So how do you tell those people that actually north and south is still a straight line? This is the flat earthers, right? And east and west is a circle. Because on the globe, north and south is a circle too. It's just one less circle. Yet everybody imagines perpendicular, 0 circles. It's going to be confusing to try and talk to people about it. That's all we're after trying to do. I'm pretty sure that's all everybody's trying to do. But within this arena, at the minute, you know, 2 groups of people that have a similar geometric problem. Which one's the true geometric problem that you're going to tell normies that don't have any understanding of what geometry is even? They don't even know what a geometric problem is to start off with.
And if I can, I just like to say, for me, I don't have north and south, east and west as a compass. I think we can make that clear from our conversation last week. I just don't. I just see them as perpendicular. It's a perpendicular relationship. Now, once you have a compass in your hand, that compass is pointing to something magnetic. That's why it's pointing north. And how do I know this from my experience? Not because I know where north is, but because I think I've told this story before. I have a compass in my car attached to the mirror. It's part of the mirror in my car. My wife had a badge, one of her work badges, that was magnetic sitting up there. I didn't know it was up there. And so my compass on my car was going crazy because it was pointing to the magnet that was on the badge. That's why. So for me, I don't have that. I don't have a compass as north, south, east, west. Yes, there's north, south, east, west on a compass. But when I think of the perpendicular relationship, I'm not thinking of a compass at all. But as soon as you relate it to a compass, now you're stuck in a magnetic situation. And I don't know if that thing will drive you in a circle if you try to go east west as represented on the compass. I don't know that. I've heard that, but that would be because it's pointing to something magnetic. I don't know what that magnetic thing is. I have no idea. But to me, it doesn't automatically eliminate the idea that north, south, east, west have a perpendicular relationship as they are laid out with cardinal directions. They're perpendicular straight lines. That's what I would be arguing for, is if they're shown as perpendicular straight lines, then there's a perpendicular relationship there. If you're going to bring it to a compass, I don't know. All bets may be off at that point.
Yeah, I'd say looking at the maps, because I did orienteering, and you always in the UK we have grid north and grid coordinate system. So obviously the perpendicular on the map is like, that's what you used to do. You put your compass on, align north with the grid north, and that's the way you worked out where east and west was. Now, they're perpendicular, those map lines. In America, as far as I know, they have northings and eastings.
Northerns and eastings. Yeah.
They're perpendicular. And that's on the map of the land that we live in. So that the understanding is perpendicular, geometrically. That's the problem that I think we're pointing out here, is you have to have that understanding and a different understanding of the same relationship. The maps of the land, I don't know, in any country that you're dealing with. I know CellNav or whatever, Celestial Navigation's big in this arena, but we don't make maps like that. We make maps with grid coordinates. We don't relate the land to lights in the sky. We do that after. We measure the land, put it on a map, and then we go to the places on the map and look at the lights in the sky. But the map's already made, and that's made using squares, perpendiculars. It's just how do we have the conversation without people getting upset?
Because we can all agree that reality is weird.
Yeah. We have to agree on how we're going to come to terms about what we're talking about. So we can talk about it geometrically or talk about it non-geometrically. But since geometry is like a purest form of logic, using the purest form of reasoning that people should be able to go along with. When somebody says perpendicular and somebody else says, well, no, one of them's a circle, then, you know, is that coming to terms? Do you justify the perpendicularity as to include the circle? Or do you just try and convince somebody that their understanding of straight or perpendicular is wrong? Just say the similarity of the two models within the geometry. The flat earthers have an idea of this tangent on a horizontal plane around the outside, east-west. And the globe guys have this problem on the vertical plane, where the horizontals becomes the tangent. The only difference between these two different models is the orientation of the geometric plane that shows their problem, geometric, perpendicular problem.
I was also going to say the globe model, north and south are also circles.
Yeah, but the globe model has the problem on the horizontal and vertical. It's that perpendicular that exposes the problem on the globe. But it's exactly the same problem. So the flat earthers and the globe earthers should be able to see this. I think the globe guys already can see it. And the globe guys really need the flat earthers to carry on doing what the flat earthers do. So they allow it. They encourage the flat earthers to do these sort of things. As we saw earlier. I do feel sorry for some flat earthers that get into this, into in a deep way. I think they're getting driven into something that, you know, fighting for flat Earth, but using geometric unreasoning. I don't know. They're not actually using geometric reasoning. They're going beyond that.
I think that they are both sides are in fact on the same side because they are trying to undermine just logic. They are both sides are making unlogical claims, and in reference to that, this guy, this Terence Howard or whatever his name is,
I think so.
I've looked to his this conversation with Joe Rogan, and he also made I would say not just ridiculous statements that one multiplied by one equals two also. So
Yep.
maybe when we tilt our head, this X mark looks like plus, but I don't know. But there is more going on. I would say that these people like this guy and globe earthers and flat earthers are making ridiculous claims to undermine just logic, geometry, whatever you can name it.
It's just reasoning, right?
Yes,
There
yes.
doesn't seem to be any reasoning process going on, relating things to one another, correct terms. It's all a mess. It's 2024 all over. I think the idea is, me personally, is to make people mad. And you definitely do that by handing people contradictions that they're unaware of, and then exposing them to their own contradictions, which is sort of a reason why I've kept back from all of this, because all of these guys in this arena, they've all been handed contradictions, and they're deep rooted. Their team, especially when they're team players, once they become star players on a team, then they'll have their protectors.
Yeah, for me, it is not just about flat Earth versus globe. It's just science versus, I would say, gnosis, gnostics, whatever. Because in gnostics, you are going beyond logic, beyond reasoning. So for me, it's just harsh narrative, because till now it was somehow concealed, so they didn't make that claim so blatantly. But now both sides and others are making blatant nonsensical statements like this one multiplied by one equals two. A straight line is not straight. Earth is measured flat. It's the same side making illogical statements, and they are preaching this. This is not that they are proving. They don't prove anything. They are just claiming things, like Nathan Oakley claiming that Earth is measured flat, that the globe, that latitude and longitude are perpendicular, being great circles, for example. So it is not about a model. It is just about messing people's minds for some reason, or without reason, I would say. or without good reason?
Well, I would say that this perpendicular and the unreasoning of what is perpendicular is what led to the globe model in the first place. So what we're dealing with here is the problem that caused the globe model to be made. The very understanding of perpendicular, along with the north, south, east, west, latitude and longitude being perpendicular, all of that, it all relates to these this particular perpendicular problem. And that would be perpendicular on the equator. Now, what is the equator? I don't know, you can
The
decide
equator
it
is
for
a
yourself.
circle too.
Is it?
That's my unproven claim.
Yeah. See, that's the flat Earth circle. Well, the globe has it as a straight line, doesn't it?
Yes, but it is still
No, it's still a
great
circle.
Yeah.
No, it's still a circle.
But it does have perpendicular. That's where latitude and longitude are perpendicular.
Yeah, so they are messing with people's minds in that case, because I would say, I'm not playing devil's advocate, but for me it would be reasonable to say that they are not perpendicular because they are not straight lines, they are circles, so be it. So let them be not straight lines. Let them be circles.
Why would you need to make a model if that were the case?
You can have model without straight lines. So that's the longitude and latitude are just circles. So be it. But they are insisting that they are perpendicular. I wonder why.
Because
So,
they've had to invent a new geometry to make
yeah.
it so they are.
Yes, for me it is
And
unreasonable.
I would say that's because in reality, they are.
They are what?
Perpendicular.
How do you know that?
Because they had to invent an entirely fictional geometry to make a model to convince everybody that they are. Because they are in reality. I mean, if they're not in reality, then that's fine. Why did they have to make a model to try and convince people that they are if they're not? Surely it wouldn't be that easy. You wouldn't need to make a model. If you wouldn't need to make a model to convince somebody that they are
Some people
if they're not.
want to believe that the world created itself out of a big bang and created spheres everywhere.
See, the problem I see with them not being perpendicular is that north is every direction, at least on the horizontal plane, flat Earth. But it also turns into south. So north is also south on the flat Earth model. And east and west are like tangential to this every direction. So that means that they are also every direction, but completely relative to where you are. Which, you know.
Yes, it is, but this is how
exactly
you...
the same as the globe model.
Okay, but still, you determine your direction where you are. from point where you are, so if you are looking, for example, let's get rid of compass. You are looking at North Star, so this is your direction where you're looking at. So west will be on your left and east will be on your right, always. So, but your starting point is your position. And in fact, you are always in the middle point, let's say, between east and west, always, wherever you are. You are basically in the equal distance to the sunrise and sunset. So you are, let's say, at the noon position. So
Does that work with north and south too?
that you are on equal position,
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I cannot determine that, but I can determine that my basically my distance from sunrise to sunset is equal. This is what I can say, because this is just perspective. So perspective works to east and to west respectively, so in the same way. So I have no problem with that. But talking about south and north, I wouldn't say that, because I have no idea.
Well, doesn't perspective work to whichever direction you're looking?
Yes, that's why I say that it has to work the same way to the east and to the west. That's why I can say that I am always in the middle between east and west, where I am, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all about what the perception is of how you relate these things to, the words that we use. Now, obviously, there's people like Nathan Oakley that say you can't get an angle to a curve. What he means is that, you can't have one straight line and one circle in order to measure an angle from the straight line to the circle, because it's a curve. You need a tangent. You need straight lines to be able to do that. Well, when Nathan Oakley says that, he's talking about the globe guys and their bendizontal, the curved horizontal. But I mean, that's the same as an azimuthal angle. Everybody knows you're talking about cell nav or whatever you're doing, orienteering or whatever. You measure an angle from north to the other direction, right? Wherever you're looking, and that's called an azimuthal angle. Well, a measurement from north to east, if east is a circle, that angle can't be made, surely. If east and west is a circle, then the initial azimuthal angle from north to the point that you're doing is to a circle. That's an angle to a curve. It would be hypocritical of Nathan Oakley to be asking the globe guys for their angle to a curve while he uses cell nav to prove his flat earth, and using an azimuthal angle as an angle to a curve. I mean, that's hypocritical.
Yes, but still, you are creating a triangle on a semicircle. So if you have, for example, a right angle triangle on semicircle, built in semicircle, so your hypotenuse will be a chord line. So you can use triangle even if this triangle is inside of the circle. So you can measure angle. You don't need to relate that to a circle. You can create triangle inside of the circle. It's not impossible, at least with my understanding of geometry. It's not contradictory. I wouldn't say that I would use a latitude line as a side of triangle. I wouldn't say that because it would be ridiculous. If it is a circle, of course, it cannot work.
Yeah, so it would be the east. It'd be a point.
Yeah.
On the east circle that you transform into a tangent, which I would keep saying that, you know, this needs to be addressed by Nathan Oakley. He has a housekeeping question related directly to this issue. And they've all banned me. I can't go over there. I can't even comment on the YouTube channel. So they've cut off all lines of communication. The Flat Earth guys, the Flat Earth debate guys, and the 24/7 Flat Earth guys. They just don't want to deal with this issue. Nathan Oakley, I think he's scared. He's frightened, right? He's got this housekeeping question that he's had for ages, and he doesn't want it to be exposed that they have this issue, and it's the same issue that the Globe guys have. That's the problem, that he's put the housekeeping question there to have a go at the Globe guys, but he seems unaware that it's within his own model too, the exact same geometric problem. And one of the measurements that you do take for celestial navigation is an azimuthal angle. Apparently you need to get a fix from 3 stars, right? Only one of them is the latitude light in the sky. The other 2 require azimuthal angle bearings for you to identify. So be aware, flat earthers. The celestial navigation angle measurement thing might not be such a genius proof as Nathan Oakley's telling you. And he's banned me from going over there, so I can't tell him this. And I think he knows it.
I would never use light in the sky.
So yeah, be aware. Don't try and approach Nathan Oakley with this problem. He may react weird.
I just say fuck Nathan Oakley.
Yeah, he might just start calling you a Bevite or something. You know, like this asking Nathan Oakley this question for him to justify his contradictory geometric understanding may be one of those ultra offensive things. It might even get you you never know what he might call you. He's been known to call people some horrific things, so yeah, be aware. In fact, you're best off just keeping it to yourself. But I would say that, like, because I do have an affinity with flat earthers. I think they've been downtrodden, and at first when I came in here I thought thought the globe guys were absolutely horrible to flat earthers. And even people that they imagined were flat earthers. And it now appears that Nathan Oakley is pretty much doing the same. And him and QE and 10th Man have handed flat earthers a load of rubbish. Just problems, I think. They've spent 5 or 6 years teaching flat earthers ridiculous arguments, which obviously I think the globe guys really enjoyed, because there's no challenge to the globe if you're teaching flat earthers ridiculous shit. And now it's got to a point that Nathan Oakley doesn't even want to debunk the globe using contradictions or reductio ad absurdums or anything like that. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to tell flat earthers to say even more ridiculous shit. And I'd like to tell flat earthers that, but whew. That's Brian's flat earth map. I've seen one. I've got one like that in the front room. Looks like the North Pole hole map. I think the circle's always a weird idea, personally.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying yesterday. If you look at the map, you know, what is the orientation of it, you know? I mean, north to me is, from that, the way that is orientated is, it's anywhere upwards. And I think there in that one, that's in the picture again now. Yeah, I mean, on that, the way that's laid out, then you go east from the USA, go to the center. And northwest from the UK goes to the center. Unless unless it's a spinnable map, and that's the way you have to use the map.
The map rotates.
It doesn't have an orientation.
Yeah.
Like I said, on the globe you have Greenwich Mean Time as 0, and the way that we're used to seeing the countries, how they're laid out in our minds, even the positioning of them. You don't. I said to somebody yesterday, if you go to Australia, you don't turn the globe upside down to read it. So why would you spin the flat Earth map, depending on which direction you were going in and where you were at the time? Is there a yes? Is there an orientation that centers, say, on? That's what I asked Brian. He didn't want to answer me. Does Greenwich Mean Time still a 0 on your map? Is that the central line of the map, or doesn't it need one? I mean, I don't know beyond that. I didn't get to any other questions beyond that. Is it necessary to have one?
Yeah, that's the thing. Just as nobody's been to the center of the globe, nobody seems to have been to the place where east and west disappear. North, east, and west, right? Where the only direction is south. And that's on both models, right? Nobody's been there.
Yeah.
You would have thought that if both of these models were true, then that would be the one thing that they'd both be able to agree on. We can all agree that there is a place where the only direction is south. But it just sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we all kind of grew up with a spherical model inside us and our association with north, and whether that's a star or a compass or whatever, by laying it out flat, is that a carryover to this to have a center point from the sphere? Because I know, let's say you can, you look at Polaris or the compass points to what tells us is north, but and Jeremy was saying, if we all looked at where the sun is rising and we were in different places and we walk towards that point, would we all converge and meet at that place? But it's another one of those things. Well, unless it's done, you wouldn't be able to prove anything, and it'd be very difficult to do it anyway. So there's lots of assumptions made, and I wondered, whether it's a carryover from the sphere model to still put north at that central point. And how that works with the maps, and say looking at that map.
It sounds
see,
dangerous going north.
yes, because north,
Sounds like you
looking at
could get
that.
lost really easily. The closer you get, the more the probability of you getting lost increases. You're like, oh, we got too close to the pole. Now everything's in south. I'm all turned around. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Who says there's a pole there though?
Well, exactly, but
Well, you know that idea is that's a model problem, right?
yes, yeah.
Totally
Right.
generated
That's
by
why I was
spherical
saying,
geometry.
How,
It's a spherical geometry thing, and because you have a point, you have two. Spherical geometry.
yeah, it's bizarre.
1 point turns into 2. It has to within that understanding. But that's not what flat Earth do, right? They just have 1 point. Turns
Yeah, I
out
mean, the
that
way
spherical geometry is just the opposite. You need to have the 1 point to be able to have the 2 points.
yeah, and if the cardinal directions are perpendicular, then on the way that map's laid out for Brian, well, you could go from South Africa or say halfway up the west coast. You'd be heading north to go to Australia. You look at that map.
North's to the centre. But the problem is that once you go beyond
Well,
that, you're going south. But you're
yeah,
still
that's what I
going
mean.
in
But
the
look,
same direction.
yeah,
Just it's I think when people take these ideas on, don't think they're fully understanding of the implications that come along with that line of thought. And the only reason you would have ever attempted to have this line of thought is when somebody introduces a model. So the model introduces the implications which cause contradictions.
yeah, because like you and Kevin, I'd never, particularly when Kevin said he doesn't relate the cardinal directions to a compass, and neither do I. I'd never associated it with that inside me, in my being. It wasn't. It's just that it's a particular situation, and yeah, it wasn't until I came into this arena that a lot of these ideas were presented to me. I never even considered them. That was, thinking about them, that's a silly thing. I was even thought about it. I don't know, it wasn't even a consideration. But now these pictures and these models are being presented. It's created issues that I never had before. That well, I don't have to have them again. They're not really that much of a problem. It's just a consideration, and it's because a model is being presented that I didn't relate my cardinal directions to a model at all. It was just the direction I went in, and it was perpendicular. I didn't ever consider that they were circles in any form. I never related it to. I have spoken to a few people, and not in this arena, just in life. And a couple of people have, when I spoke to them, they brought up the globe in the conversation. We were talking about perpendiculars and parallels and horizontals, just in a little general conversation, but they brought it up. The lack of having parallel verticals, for instance. And I thought that was fascinating. I thought, why have I never heard this conversation before? I didn't lead it to there, or it wasn't, based on that. It was just a kind of a test conversation to see what people would say, horizontal and verticals and perpendicular, that kind of thing, just in a building type way. Yeah, and a couple of people have responded in the, well, there's no, you couldn't tell up close, but the parallels aren't, the verticals aren't parallel. And I never had that inside me at all, in any orientation, to curve them around a central point on a horizontal axis or a vertical one, where the north and the south both curve away from me. If I stand in, well, I don't know. I'd have to be lying down, I suppose, hugging the earth.
Yeah, so what you have to try and get a grip on here is that we're not saying that, this is a flat earth problem, right? This is just a similar problem to the globe that the flat earth have within the way you think about these geometric aspects of reality.
Because in reality, people aren't doing the things that we might describe in a geometric way, necessarily.
Well, in reality, we are for horizontal and vertical.
They have
that's a definite geometric understanding. Now, this arena has, if it's taught me anything, it's taught me that people will say anything to get around it. But what they initially did, right, the globe guys, well, they separated level from horizontal. Well, that was what they did first. But then they realised that you can't do that, because this is about the perpendicular thing. It's not about level. This is about horizontal and vertical being perpendicular. You can imagine, you can play word games, you can Wittgenstein it, right? You can imagine that you're playing word games with level. But really, you're talking about horizontal. You're talking about the straight line. And we have learned over the last few years that there are certain things that you can prove. And you can have this geometric reasoning for you to understand things within reality. We can do that. And when I say we, I mean everyone can do that with this reasoning process. But there's certain things, certain models have to contradict that geometric reasoning. They have to. And along with that comes a contradiction to the logic. And if you want to start contradicting logic, to the point that you're confusing yourself with straight. Straight's one of the fundamentals of not only geometry, but logic too. And what we're dealing with here is modern day sophists who are trying to convince people of things that are just, there's no reasoning behind it. Well, there probably is.
With reason.
Yeah.
A reason and no reasoning. Yeah.
It does seem like they're trying to mess people's minds up. And I'm not trying to mess anybody's mind up. I'm pretty sure that I'm okay. And I'm having the ability to be able to, talk about these sort of things. And I don't want to offend anyone. If the flat earthers are out there and they're fragile enough to have to block out some of these things that we say about logic and geometry and all of that, then I don't want to upset the flat earthers. But these are things that, we all are going to have to come to an understanding about in order to go forwards. If it means that conversation that we have doesn't involve the flat earthers, well, so be it. Let the flat earthers talk amongst themselves. But be aware that, if you think you might be able to get through to them, just at least go in there aware that I think they know about this and they're probably going to fight so they don't have to see this thing. We call it ECV, existential cognitive veiling. When things become so real that the mind has to take over and hide things from the people that you're talking to. You may not know it, you may not have seen it before, but you have to make allowances for people's strange reactions when dealing with issues that have become too much for them. The flat earthers have already done it. They've banned me from all of their chats. Now, I don't know whether they're listening in or anything, picking up hints, using our arguments, talking shit about us. Don't know.
They're definitely listening to your arguments because they use them all the time and then just ban you so that you can't get the credit. That's what I think.
Yeah. And then tell people not to come and listen to us so they'll never know that they are actually our arguments that they're using. It's a really weird way of going around it because, it's documented. We've been talking to people for years.
Yeah, but it's because you won't admit to being a flat earther. That's what they say. Even though it's not flat.
Yeah, from what I could gather in the FED chat today, there's a bit of a heated conversation, I think, over this celestial navigation and elevation angles and dip correction. We'll see, may get to hear it, but yeah, certainly in the chat was reflective of a very heated
I thought it
conversation.
was all about
it seems to
Alex
me.
Jones today.
but in the after show with Brian, and as Brian came in talking about the elevation angle and dip correction and GP and what have you. So yeah, it's not settled. We're now halfway through 2024 with the best foot forward, is it? Confidently claim the Earth is measured flat, and they're still arguing over the details.
Yeah, I think
And
I
how-
must have
how
spent
best to
over a
explain it.
week asking them, how do you change a vertical distance into an angle correction, an adjustment
Yeah.
of an angle? I mean, it's impossible, right? You can do fuck all with an angle. You can do fuck
Well,
all with a
that's
distance.
yeah.
I'll give you 6 foot. What's the angle?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of pictures I just put in the live chat. That's from George on FED. His response to I forget what the question was, but it was about the celestial navigation, or yeah, about it, the that both teams are looking in the sky to work out what's under their feet, basically. And that's where he sent me the picture of the celestial navigation thing. But I only noticed right there in the corner in the small print, dip corrected observer.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked him, can you now explain? Because he seems as though he's taken over the Johnny B's position as master mariner, master navigator for
He's not. He's just drawing
FPT.
triangles. Well, he's drawing a rectangle.
Yeah, he's. I think that's. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I asked him. Now can you tell me how you get an angle from a vertical distance? Because the dip correction is there. That's what that is, isn't it? Dip corrected observer in the small print in the corner, and that's the first time I'd seen it.
I think I've got my Rise Overrun t-shirt on. I mean, it looks a bit similar to that. Yeah, it does just look like a triangle.
Yeah, but yes, yeah, triangle. We can't ask any questions about it. It's not actually a triangle. They tell me. You can think of it as a triangle, but
It's
it
just
isn't.
an angle, but it's a triangle angle. So it does look a bit. I mean, it is just a triangle, isn't it?
Yes.
So, I mean, of course it'll look familiar. It's because it's just a triangle. And it's a 60-30 triangle. I don't know whether he's ever done a isometric drawing, but that's the triangle that you use. Because you get set squares and stuff like that, and you get 2 triangles, don't you? Usually, you get the 45 90 triangle, obviously, and then you get the 60-30 one. And that 60-30 triangle is because that's how you draw isometric whenever you're doing draftsman. And isometric is a way to view things within perspective, but keeping the proportions within the scale of the drawing. So when you see architectural 3D landscapes or whatever, you'll see them drawn with that 60-30 triangle. Because I think that's the proportions that you optically relate reality to.
I'm really sorry, but I have to go make some tech calls. Really didn't want to have to leave this conversation, but I have to.
No problem, Rob.
This has been one of the best days here in
Do
a
you
while.
have your
Thank you,
replacement set
Ben.
up?
Not yet. I will get on it. Thanks, Bev. I appreciate you.
Catch you later. Yeah. Understanding of straight lines, perpendiculars, and don't know. I'm hoping that this sort of stuff, because I mean, I did come to geometry, and geometry led me to logic, and logic led me to the trivium, and that helped me understand, you know, a lot, particularly about this arena, the way to interact with people, the way to deal with debating, confrontation, if you will. Just, you know, it's sort of life changing, really. Discovering that there are mathematical principles and things that you weren't taught at school. And they are pretty simple for you to, you know, get a grip on them. May seem a little bit weird at the beginning, you know, hearing logic and mathematics, geometry. But they are pretty simple. I mean, they led us to this advanced simplicity. Trying to find the basics of it. That's where you start off. And that starting point, it's there for everyone. It's one of the things that, you know, on this journey, always I consider what you should do if you are having a conversation with anyone. You should find an agreement point, a mutual understanding. You should come to terms on the things that you can agree on first. And then at least you do have a mutual understanding, and you can then progress and go forwards with that. Normally find out that conversations are a bit more friendly or whatever. You know, it's a better conversation. You can learn more if there isn't confrontation. I think that's what we should be doing. It's obvious that you know, within the arena, flat versus globe is a battle that they're happy with. They've been doing it for years. Goes round and round. They'll do the same thing, talk about the same thing. There's 24/7 channels where you can go and join in a group of 20 people talking about the same thing. Well, I mean, it might not be the same thing, but they do this 24/7. There's always somebody there talking about these things over and over. So if you've had a conversation with one person, you'll be able to have it with everybody else. And there's loads of people there. You can do that. I think we've gone beyond that. I can't see the point in doing it over and over if it's not going to get you anywhere, and all you're doing is teaching yourself contradictions. What we want to try. I
got great news.
What was that?
I got great news. I'm back.
You're back.
And I don't have to make phone calls anymore.
Well done.
I'm just here listening, though. I got a lot of work to do still.
Yeah, I think we should be about this time trying to work out what we can agree on. And it seems as though it's pretty hard for us to have an agreement with any of the globe guys or any of the flat earthers. So if there's anybody out there that, you know, isn't part of either of these groups that wants to come and have a chat, just come and have a chat. We can... Surely we can agree on certain things. Seems like we can't agree with... And when I say we, it might just be me. Or, you know, like I try and agree with people, even with the flat earthers. I think, there are things that we can agree on with, people from either side with other models. I can agree with people. I'm pretty sure I can agree with certain people on definitely some things. But I think they take the disagreements too far. Focus too much on the things that we disagree about. Maybe that's a modern thing. Maybe that's what we have to get used to. Doesn't matter how much you agree with someone. If you disagree on a certain thing, then that can ruin all of the agreements that you do have. Maybe that's what we've got to look forward to. You have to agree with everybody on everything. Otherwise, you've got to get out. It's that Big Brother sort of stuff. 1984. Agree with everything that we say. I don't know what the kids are going to do. And I don't know whether parents and stuff have done this for years beforehand. Whether they've looked at, and seen how bad it's getting. What you're going to pass down. What do you give your children to take away from this? Your learned experiences. I don't know. Judging by the some of the reactions that I've had, then do I give this to my children? Do I risk them being libelled by Nathan Oakley because they've said something that he doesn't agree with? Don't know. Don't know. People constantly calling me a liar. So, can I pass that on to my kids? Do I risk them also having people call them liars for saying things that we've proved in reality? Just tell them it, but tell them to keep quiet about it. Don't say it to certain people. Because it's become bad now, apparently, to say that the Earth's not flat because of mountains and valleys. Can you imagine that? Everybody knows there's mountains and valleys. So
Yeah, I
everyone
would say
knows
that
it's not flat.
it is utter nonsense. And by the way, they say that it is a topographical plane. So
Oxymoron.
yes, oxymoron. And they say, so as we established that this is topographical plane, let's ignore topography and we call it plane. So
That's when they get mad. Sorry. I was just going to say, it's like when they get mad for using the word atmosphere and they call it a contradiction or something, right? But
yeah,
they're doing the exact same thing.
yeah. Because for me, there is nothing wrong with calling air atmosphere, because it is just a layer of air. between, let's say, Earth and sky. So it is called atmosphere. And it was used in that sense for, I would say, maybe even millennia. And was nothing wrong about that. And also nothing wrong about gravity, because this is very old world. And I'm talking about that because there are 2 points, this atmosphere and gravity, which triggers, for example, people like Nathan Oakley. For me, it is not triggering point at all, because we know that gravity exists. It is a thing. We can observe gravity, how it works. And we can also say that the atmosphere exists. So air around us is atmosphere, so no problem. But Nathan Oakley decided, for example, that atmosphere is offending word, taboo. You cannot use that, and he is using that this word as excuse to disrupt conversation. So, for example, when Glober is talking something, arguing or trying to argue with Nathan Oakley, and it's like Nathan Oakley is waiting when the opponent is, if he used that word, so conversation is immediately over, and he is just pummeling this opponent with that word, atmosphere, for no reason, for me at least. And the same thing is with gravity. 2 normal words. We all know what atmosphere means and what gravity means. And for some people like Nathan Oakley, it is just triggering or disrupting point in conversation. I don't understand why. Maybe there are some reasons. I don't know.
Well, I would say that the atmosphere. Well, I don't do it personally, because you're adding a shape for some reason. I mean, to me though, there was a singer, not a singer, comedian called Russ Abbott, and he did a song called Atmosphere. But so that was like a party sort of thing. And so that, to me, that's what atmosphere is. Not the way that, Nathan takes offense at it.
Yeah, there are many meanings. But usually when people are talking about atmosphere, they are not thinking about particular shape. It's just air, that we are in the air, and this is what this thing between earth and sky, it's called atmosphere. So it does not indicate really a real shape. But some people like Nathan Oakley are trying to make mockery of that. So that, for me, it is just not worthy to argue. But still, okay. You can say just air. No problem. But gravity, I have no problem. Gravity, just wait.
Yeah, it's just vertical.
Yes, you can use as vertical, and because motion of gravity is vertical. But gravity, as an, if you refer to object, it's just weight of the object. So you can say that object has weight, or you can say that object has gravity. So no problem. It doesn't say that it is Newtonian gravity, but just gravity.
It was amusing today watching Nathan Oakley, and he was reviewing Dave Weiss and Alex Jones on InfoWars, and Oakley was complaining that Alex Jones kept butting in and wouldn't let Dave Weiss speak. So look at that tactic of him trying to stop him from speaking and getting his point out. It's exactly what Oakley does. That's quite amusing. He didn't sort of pick up on the irony of it.
But at least maybe he was not calling him names, I think.
there was a bit of swearing. So he said, but Oakley was worried because it would be demonetized. His stream would be demonetized because there was so much swearing in there, but not at each other in a sense. It's just general swearing. So yeah, he needed to get off because he wasn't going to earn any money today. But he's never going to go on InfoWars. He just resorts to having to shout at a video of somebody else on InfoWars and act as if he was there and what he might have said.
Nathan Oakley might get his chance. All the flat earthers have their own heroes, don't they? I mean, that's what amuses me, is that they're such a disjointed bunch of people. You'd think that coming into this, like, flat earthers and globe earthers, they're team players, but the flat earthers are nothing like it. I mean, at least the globe guys, right? The globe guys have to put that front across that they're all the same. I mean, they say they fight the flat earth. They have to, really, don't they?
Yeah.
They have to say that they fight the flat earth and McToon, when everyone knows what they're really like. But all of the globe guys have to, publicly, they have to go along with it. But the flat earthers are not like that at all. The flat earthers, particularly Nathan Oakley and the FED guys, they'll publicly denounce any other flat earther for not having the correct argument and the correct approach of how to go about these things, as demonstrated by today.
It's funny when you hear the flat earthers talking about society and how things should be better, and how we are going to be the ones that are leading the charge, and as if flat earth is going to be the thing that's going to change society anyway. But I think, well, there's no cohesive group of people here who are going to rally together and all get behind the same flag and take on the government or resist some tyranny or whatever, and the kind of hierarchies that are being built in the structures within the arena are in my view the same as the government anyway. I just think, well, nobody's going to do anything. Not going to bring any change to anything, because it's just generally just sitting at home on the computer. Nobody's really making any action. Lots of people talk about things, and I ask them, well, what are you doing then? Somebody was talking about well, he did say that he would never die unless somebody killed him. That was his idea, that he wouldn't die. It was only through somebody killing him that he was going to die. So that was through anything. It's like through something, being processed food or chemicals put in the food or somebody physically killing him. But, so you think you're going to live forever unless something happens. And he said yes, and was going on about the kind of food you should eat. And I said, well, what are you doing? And let me know. What sort of practices are you doing to stay, to have immortality then? And he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't eating the right food. He said, well, it takes a lot of money, and I haven't got that much money. So like the rest of us, then you're not actually doing anything. What? Yeah. People have lots of dreams, but make no action to try and make them a reality. Lots of talk about stuff, but not much action. So I can't really see how this group, like I say, they stab each other in the back, very quickly. So they're not the kind of people you think, right, we're going to build this brave new world with, because you'd never trust them that they weren't going to rob you of your vegetables because they couldn't be bothered to grow any. Yeah, it's pretty dog eat dog.
Yeah.
But it's funny because yeah, like the subject today, it's perpendicular and the straight line. It does affect people in incredibly different ways. And then they do get very passionate and angry and yeah, upset about it. Yeah, when discussing it and even thinking about it.
Well,
But
I
I just
mean,
find it
if you want to
interesting.
talk to normal people about the way they perceive reality, would this be one of those things? I mean, I'm not thinking like for the flat Earth or the globe Earth, right? Thinking about coming and approaching normal people from this point of view. It's not good for them, but is it good for us? Is this one of the best ways for you to explain how both of these models are, a false dichotomy? Flat Earth versus globe Earth. Is this one of the best ways to show the false dichotomy? I know it may be it's a little bit geometric, right? But because you have to explain perpendicular and circles, right? And how it can't actually be perpendicular. But I mean, does it put people in that epoche position in one of the best ways for when you're entering this arena? I think.
I'm not sure. Because people need to, they're going to have to be faced with some contradictions in order to get to those places, perhaps. So I was thinking, yes, thinking, well, yes, I've made this journey and looked at these things, and am I any better off for it? As addictive as it can be sometimes, and just in a sense of being interested and how people react and what people say and the kind of things that you discover about myself and other people. That's interesting, but it feels like you've got to go into this topic in order to get out of it. Kind of the only way out is through. So yeah, how you reach. I think I had epoche before before this anyway. A lot of other things
I
that I
think it's a
considered and thought
valuable,
about.
yeah, call it a
Yeah,
valuable skill to learn,
yeah.
is to
I never had to.
accept it.
I never had to apply it to the shape of the earth in my mind because I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really something I needed to think about, and it's not it hasn't disabled me to something really. It's I find it's expanded my world incredibly. So that's been great. But
Yeah, the
yeah,
downside of this is that, I've learned a lot, but the downside is don't know whether introducing people to this is a good thing. I think that's the problem. I think this is just such a horrible place with, some really weird consequences of what happens when you enter it. It's almost as if everything's being turned upside down, and this sort of accelerates that. It gets you to see, the destruction of society. I don't know.
yeah. I guess the way that humans are, the way that humans act and react to different situations. I guess it depends how the life it how you experience it and how it exposes, which way it exposes itself to you, where you are. Some people talking about society and stuff this morning, and talking about, got into some war stuff, and I said, well, I'm pretty sure that there's nobody in Ukraine or on Russian side who are thinking about Coriolis when they're defending themselves or attacking somebody. I don't think Coriolis comes into their mind at all, and all this stuff is just out of the window, the shape of the earth or anything like that. When you're in that kind of situation, it's kind of almost feels a luxury to consider it sometimes, to have the time and the space to that is the most important thing to consider in your life, the straight line. I mean, it's got a massive impact, but it sometimes feels a real luxury to be able to consider it without any other things being a pressure on your life in that sense.
Okay, guys, I'm off to bed. So
Okay.
good night.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very much,
much.
Paper.
Okay, Paper, take care.
It appears Jeremy's started watching, but he's a fair bit behind. Hopefully everything gets
I
explained.
always miss those.
You always miss what?
Watch. Okay. He's watching the YouTube stream. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, in the comments. He's It's a
Yeah,
fair
if I
bit
hear one
behind.
more person say there's no straight lines in reality, I'm gonna lose my shit.
See, it's got everybody. Everybody's on it because it's a personal thing. And if you're willing to say that there's no straight lines in reality, then you cannot have a proof of a straight line. Because if you did have a proof of the straight line, it would be in reality, and you then wouldn't say there's no such thing as straight lines in reality. So anybody willing to say there's no straight lines has no proof of the most basic, fundamental in reality. And always be wary of somebody who says there's no proofs, particularly of a straight line. But I'm guessing not many people have got a proof of a straight line. And then I guess in modern day, you've got to convince yourself of what the straight line is. Should come with the proof. In fact, I would say that would be the only way that you have a fundamental understanding of what a straight line is if you can prove it, and if you've then proved it, you've gone through a reasoning process that ends up with you saying that's a straight line. So you would know what a straight line is. Anybody questioning it, I'd be highly suspect of. And I am. Because I have a proof of a straight line. Now, will people tell me that I don't? Probably. Will they have gone through a test of their own to be able to prove what a straight line is? I don't know. I'd be interested to hear it if anybody has. If anybody thinks it can be proved, it can't be proved. There's a lot of talk about lights in the sky, and I find that very strange. What have lights in the sky got to do with straight lines? Or our understanding of straight lines? It looks like Jeremy might have joined the server again. Does he want to come in? We got can you roll him up there, Kev? You around? We got any mods?
Seeing if I can remember how to do it.
It's just a voice verified role. Should be right down at the bottom somewhere, I think.
VC verif. Oh, yeah. Oh, somebody already did it. As soon as I was getting ready to click it, they got it. Never mind.
Who was that? Who was that did that? No, somebody give NORAD mod stuff. Kevin.
Yeah, I was just scrolled down to get it. And, yeah.
Oh, it was NORAD. Look at that. Top mod. Get a promotion for that. On the ball. Mod credits. You there, Jeremy? Mic check.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
That was a bit iffy signal, that. But yeah, I suppose we can hear you.
Yeah, you guys have never seen,
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
24-hour sun.
I've never seen a 24-hour sun. No. But we do have a guy called Saragaki who lives up north. Pretty sure he says he's seen it.
All right, is my connection any better?
That sounds better.
Okay, how about you have something going in a straight line, right? You're looking at it, it's going away from you in a straight line. And then a little bit later, it's behind you.
What?
The sun, you say it's moving in a straight line. We're looking at the sun go away from us in a straight line. And then a little while later, when the sunrise happens the next day, it's behind you. How could that be a straight line?
No, I said when it goes from east to west with the shadow. Have you seen it? Have you ever done that?
Yes, I've done this. That's because your stick is straight. It's because your stick is straight. It's going to leave any shadow shape that object you have. Dude, how can it go ahead of you in a straight line and then end up behind you the next day when sunrise happens again?
I don't know what you're talking about. It goes from the east to the west, right?
Yeah, you said it moves east west in a straight line. How could it go away from you in a straight line and then a little while later when the sunrise happens the next day it's behind you? How can something move in a straight line ahead of you and then it's behind you?
No, it's just a light in the sky, right?
That clearly can't be moving in a straight line because it ends up behind you.
from east to west. That, to me, that's a straight line. Where the sun rises and where the sun sets, it travels from east to west in a straight line. That's just what I imagine, think.
It sounds like me and Jeremy agree on something, though.
What?
We don't believe the sun travels in a straight line.
Okay, yeah, you've got the
But I
sun
thought,
going. But does that make east and west a circle?
Well, you said the sun
no.
rises in the east, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody's been told, as far as I know. Is it not? Sun rises
so
in
if
the
the sun's
east, sun sets in the west.
Yeah, so if it is rising in the east and it's moving in a circle like Saragaki with his 24-hour sun or whatever, then what does that tell you?
Doesn't tell me that east-west is a circle.
But the sun rises in the east and the sun's going in a circle. If the sun's going in a circle like Saragaki says, then we can probably, I mean, I wouldn't even argue if the sun's going in a circle. You get 24-hour sun in the north. Millions of people have seen that.
Yeah. Right, well, Jeremy, don't be offended, right? I think north, south, east and west are perpendicular. That means that east to west is a straight line. So when the sun goes from east and it sets in the west, where I am, here, that's what I know, the sun goes from east to west. It's a straight line.
Yeah, but the sun can't be going in a straight line because the next day it's behind you. If you're looking at a sunset and it's in front of you and it's going in a straight line, the next day it's behind you. How can something go in a straight line and end up behind you?
That's what the sun does. That will not affect my understanding of east-west being a straight line.
Okay, let me talk about the east-west thing. I said if you keep Polaris in front of you and you travel on the ground, the point under Polaris, not Polaris itself. I was a little bit behind in the stream, but the point under Polaris will be the point where everyone's gone north, and now here we are.
Well, the point under Polaris, is that what you call north?
Is that what I call north?
Or
No,
is
north
that,
I think is a direction.
Is that a whizzing great big circle?
I call north a direction.
Okay. Is it like a 70 odd mile circle? Or perhaps even bigger?
I don't have a point on north. I just have the direction of north, and I know that if we go north, Polaris is called the North Star. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Plus, not only that, if a sunrise on an equinox is east, right? Which when you go perpendicular from that, it's Polaris. Polaris is there.
Perpendicular from the east-west. It can't just be perpendicular to east. It's to be perpendicular to east-west. And would it be perpendicular to the bisector of east-west?
I don't know what bisector means, but the
Right in
sunrise
the
on an
middle.
equinox. Go ahead.
Bisect is right in the middle. The perpendicular at the midpoint.
We're Where the lines intersect, yeah, that's the perpendicular is.
Yeah, we've been saying this is a tricky thing for people, not just you, Jeremy. It's like everybody. There seems to be no actual answer that would satisfy everybody's needs. That's why it's tricky to deal with. As we say, that it's the model
It's
affliction.
not tricky.
Well, it is, because the
It's
model
not tricky for
affliction
anyone.
makes
We
you
go
undo the perpendicularity
it,
somehow.
No, it doesn't matter about models. You don't even need a model for this. Just if Polaris brings you north, which is why it's called the North Star, you don't need any model. You just need to know that if you keep walking in the direction of Polaris, you're going north. No models, none of that. This is just a reality thing.
It's just a light in the sky, though, right?
Yeah, it's a light, and I'm talking about when that direct. If you keep that light in the sky in front of you, the North Star, Polaris, that's how you'll be going north, right?
Well, I mean, we're saying earlier that, you know, it's just a light in the sky. Does it hold any significance for it being
It
north?
definitely does hold significance a lot.
So is
Yeah,
it
it's called the North Star.
just coincidence
It
that
spins
the sun goes east and west?
around the North Star.
Yeah, the 24-hour sun in the north isn't even a question. I don't know. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it, but
Yeah, but because 24-hour sun in the north doesn't mean east-west circle to me.
yeah, but if you say the sun rises in the east and we can see that the sun is actually moving in a circle, what is that? That doesn't tell you that east and west is a circle?
No, I'm just telling you what people out of this arena would say. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west, even if they know that. I'm doubting most people would even know that. It is 2024. So, I mean, how would you introduce somebody to this particular conversation? Were you to, you know, somebody new to this arena? How would you introduce them to this?
Get in a hot air balloon up to 120,000 feet and look out.
How would I introduce them to what?
To this particular conversation of east-west circles. Like, how would you tell somebody and make your point? Because you seem upset, Jeremy, because I say that east to west is a straight line and it's perpendicular
I'm
to
not upset
north
about
south.
that. Yeah, but that doesn't upset me.
Okay, well,
that's fine if you want to believe that. I don't. People believe all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah. So
not that that's weird. I could see how that's not weird in your mind. I mean, we've all been raised on maps and compasses, and they're always perpendicular, drawn on the map and the compass.
Okay. Well, how would you introduce somebody like me that has an understanding that north, south, east, and west are perpendicular? How would you introduce somebody like that to this particular arena? Right? So as to not upset people.
If I were trying to convince them of that it is or isn't perpendicular.
Yeah, let's just say somebody enters this arena with a similar sort of thing that I've said, right? But they're just sort of
Okay.
randoms that have just come in from, you know, from doing orienteering, right, in the UK.
Well, first thing I would ask is, do you think that if we keep Polaris in front of you, that you will be going in the direction of north? And I would see what they say to that.
Well, they would probably say we use a compass on our maps. But I suppose you could line it up with, but you'd have to have a night time, right, to be able to line the map up to the Polaris. But then, you know, like you'd still be using those grid lines and east and west would still be perpendicular.
I mean, honestly, until you started up with this, I didn't think that was even in contention about the North Polaris and going north.
I've not said anything.
I didn't
about
think
that.
anyone. I didn't think anyone would have even doubted that. So I don't.
Okay,
I don't know. You got me.
Let's just
Beth.
let's just say, for instance, we've not got a compass, but we do have a map of the UK, and we can line it up with the light in the sky.
Okay, and then if you're on one side of England and I'm on one side of England, we're gonna obviously be aiming towards the same point, and then you have Euclid's fifth, that triangle axiom.
But we
You
would
guys call it
be
the, what do
using
you guys
grid
call it, the parallel
lines.
postulate here?
We would be using grid lines on the map. They are parallel.
Yeah, the map's not the terrain. The map's not the terrain, though.
But we orienteering, we would be using the map, and we would be using grid north.
I thought we were just using the map to line up north with the North Star.
Yeah. And you'd be on one side of the UK, and I'd be on the other side of the UK. We'd both be using grid north to line up with Polaris on the map.
Yeah, the little north, south, east, west on your map. Yeah, we'd both be lining our north up for that, and it'd be the same point, right?
Well,
We'd
grid
both be heading in the
north,
same direction.
grid north on the maps are parallel.
I know, but that's a reification fallacy. That's not the terrain.
That's the maps.
I know, it's not the terrain, right?
Well, that's how we do orienteering. If it was a compass, we'd be lining it up with grid north too.
I hear you. I hear, dude. There's a lot of reasons. I just think north brings us to the north is going to bring us to an intersecting point somewhere under Polaris. I don't know. I'd have to imagine that if we're both heading in the same point, that we would intersect, and then you have Euclid's, triangle axiom.
So you do go with the light in the sky being a point on the ground.
Nope, the light in the sky, if you stay on the ground and you keep the light in the sky in front, hold on, shit. If you hit the light in the sky, sorry, if you keep the light in the sky in front of you and you stay on the ground, then eventually you may be somewhere under that light in the sky, or it doesn't matter. Those according to Euclid's triangle axiom, the lines are going to intersect. They're both going to the same point.
Yeah, a point on the ground is what you're imagining this is.
I'm imagining that we're both heading towards this in the same. We're both heading towards, me and you are on the opposite sides of England or whatever. We're both heading towards the same point.
Yeah. There's me and you. That's 2 points, and then there's an other point. That's where your triangle for the triangle axiom comes. There's 3 points.
Yeah. The point under Polaris. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you are assuming.
I mean, maybe it doesn't work that way. Yeah, maybe it doesn't work that way, and Polaris is acting is weird. I would agree that we don't know how the sky works. I hear you. I could be wrong, but the sun going in a circle though is pretty telling. I think that's a pretty leading thing there that's happening.
Yeah, I understand. This is a problem about perpendicular. That's what we've been saying.
It's not. Why? It's not a problem for me.
Yeah, because you've put yourself a monad.
We don't have to go to the point under Polaris. I'm just saying, if we're both heading in this same direction at this light in the sky, then how do we not intersect?
But you've put that point there. Mentally, you've put that point there.
I don't know.
At that point, there's no east or west or north. There is only south.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not even claiming anything about that point. I'm just saying, if we're both heading towards the same point, we don't even have to go all the way there. But if we are all heading towards that same point, then we're going to intersect.
Obviously, you put a point.
We could go 10 feet. You know the triangle axiom. We could go 10 feet, 10 miles. It doesn't matter. The triangle axiom is still going to hold whether we go all the way out or not.
Well,
we know
you know that there is a condition where the triangle isn't formed, right?
That's what I'm saying. You don't even need the whole triangle. Yeah. Oh, when they're 90 degrees. Yeah. If the sum of the interior angles add up to 180. No intersection.
Two right angles.
Yeah. Two perpendiculars. I'm just saying, dude, if the sun moves in a straight line from east to west and we see it going in a circle in the north, that's pretty telling, Bev.
Yeah. But I just find it strange for somebody to want to justify north, south, east, and west not being perpendicular.
Who said they are perpendicular?
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to justify it or anything. This is just like reality facts that's going on.
Yeah.
Now, can we get to no straight lines in reality?
Well, you'd have to have the problem with that sort of thing is you'd have to have somebody that's claiming it. Otherwise, you're making the not that and talking about the not that for them.
Howard.
Well, that guy's an actor. That's scripted for the purpose of bringing up more conversation about something that obviously...
Or try to anger people like me.
Well, there's many people that agree with him at the minute. For all sorts of different reasons, I know.
I mean, it honestly depends on how you define a straight line. If you give it a two-dimensionality, then or a one-dimensionality or whatever,
between 2 points.
Yeah, but is a straight line one-dimensional, two-dimensional? Does it fit inside of a plane?
All straight lines lie within a plane. Yes.
I mean, if that's the case, there's an infinite amount of straight lines in the room with you now. There's a point from your face to the car, from the wheel to the steering wheel. There's just an infinite amount of straight lines.
Absolutely.
By that definition, it's the shortest distance between 2 points.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How many straight lines are in the room with you now?
All of them.
You just said infinite. I can agree with that because, well, I can't count them because everywhere I look, my eyeball to whatever I'm looking at is a straight line.
And you prove
I
that
don't know
by
if
the
that's the case.
measurement being the shortest distance.
Can it be shorter than a straight line?
That would be an impossibility. So therefore, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Talk to Bob the science guy. He might disagree.
Well, he might agree actually with the the straight line not being real, because that'd be another way for him to get out of it. What he said. It's a geometric concept that people want to try and bend it with time, I think. But not bend it, just change it. Change your perception of it. Shift it outside the realm of proof into this other weird place where sophist playground. Can you imagine taking pure reason, logic, and just sort of saying not that? I think that shows you how much control these guys actually have now. Especially when you can script it. There's no such thing as TV, is there? So the best place after that is some sort of podcast type thing. And all you need to do is say this stuff. It seems like the faker something is, the more views it's going to get. Because that's the way people script it.
Yeah, actual demonstrations are hard to come by.
Yeah, and they do say it's hard to sell truth. And that's probably right.
You guys remember that movie, Don't Look Up?
I don't know.
You broke up for me
Yeah.
there. I need you to say that again.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't hear that.
You might have broken out. You might need to drop and rejoin. We don't hear nothing now.
What time is it? I went for longer than I went for longer than I was probably planning on doing. I hope
we can blame it on Jeremy.
Did you like the straight line thing? Did you see what it was? Did you get it? There's sort of there's like a hidden message in it. Don't know whether people are getting it or not. I'll be playing it again some other time anyway.
Yeah, you'll have to go through that again. I was kind of AFK there for a couple minutes. I'm trying to still get shit done at work here. And then I gotta go get my eyeball x-rayed.
Oh, what have you done? Grinder.
Well, I'm trying to get an MRI on my back, but they won't do it because I had a piece of metal in my eye like 10 years ago, and they want to make sure there's no metal in there before I get an MRI.
Yeah.
So I gotta go get an X-ray done first to make sure there's no metal in my eye. Because if you get an MRI and you got metal in your eye, it could like suck your eyeball out. I don't want that. So that's gonna be me sitting in the hospital for a few hours, bored out of my tree, waiting for an X-ray. But I gotta work first. So. It's gonna be a long night.
Buster song time, so taking requests.
Machine Men.
Let me find that. What did I call
My
that?
favorite.
Oh, speech. Greatest speech. Okay, it's a good job Rob's here. He always takes all of these requests. They're all your favourite. Right. I don't know when we're going to be back. Wednesday? Depends. I'm going to start putting some old stuff out, and I'm still trying to cut some videos. It's getting a little bit... getting more structured, I think. I'm going to start making shorter videos, like I say. Hopefully these on the level nights are going to be for everybody to get a conversation going. Might just be too tricky. Maybe we're trying to get an audience that's different than the old stuff. Might take a while for us to get, you know, to get some new people into the arena without, you know, don't really want to get them involved in the ridiculous stuff, but, you know, it's one of the pitfalls of coming into this arena. Thanks for watching. We'll be back sometime, Wednesday perhaps. Thanks for watching. Oh, is it not?
You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Let us fight to free the world. Let us all unite. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. Let us fight to free the world. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You are men. Let us fight to free the world. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world. Let us fight to free the world. Let us fight for a world of reason. A world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite. Let us fight to free the world. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world. You, the people, have the power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world. Let us fight to free the world. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!